Assalamu alaikum. Oh, welcome to another arena. So we're back. We're back in the arena. Sorry we missed the last one. I was sick. So anyway, we're back. The good news is I've had a change of mind with regards the arena and what goes on with it after the stream. I think I've decided just to leave them. So let those who want to watch it fully, watch it fully. Those who want to watch it sliced up, watch it sliced up. I don't think there's any need to make it members only. I don't think so anyway. Yusuf Ponders. What's happening, my brother?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Where are you? We want to see you, bro. What's this?
I'm
Mr.
Mr.
Miyagi flex.
I am Mr. Miyagi.
You are Mr. Miyagi. Wipe
What?
on, wipe off. Alhamdulillah. You missed a guy in the warm-up, man, who was just up your street.
What street's that?
You know, that lie down in a chair, tell you all his problems kind of flex. The whinge factor, as I like to call it. Yeah, I think you'd have enjoyed him.
Why?
Because he claimed to be a Palestinian, but Bushra said, no, he sounded Egyptian, that guy. And he's trying to act like he's a Muslim, but he's thinking of leaving Islam. And then he said he's left Islam. And then it was so embarrassing. But perfect for you. Perfect for you. Tell me all about it.
You just going to book a meeting?
We put the link up. Let's see what he does. I don't know. He didn't seem genuine, to be honest with you. He was going on about is lust haram, and he started off with that, and then he was banging on about how if the prophets or some told the Jews to bring their Torah to when the two were caught in adultery, then he must have had a whole book, and why wasn't that preserved, and why was only the Quran? Please, waste my time.
No, the way I've usually understood that one is you've got a bunch of people that say they're not going to accept Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a messenger, and they've got their own book that they apply they've got their laws and stuff, and it's like when they don't like what's being said in their book, they're trying to find like a loophole. So they go into the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they're like, "Oh, what ruling can you give us?" Thinking he might give them a different one, and he's like, "Well, where's your book? Like, you won't follow me. You're not following me as a messenger. Why don't you use your own book? Go apply your own law."
Yeah, but the point he was making was, okay, that's true. But the point he was making was that if they had the Torah at the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was his point. And why don't we have it now? Kind of thing.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not necessarily that they do have the full Torah.
No, I know. I said that. And then he became irritated in the end.
But that bringing up that verse, or like, why don't you bring your book, doesn't necessitate at all. Like, for example, like if the Jews were going to the Christians and they were asking like Jesus for a different, you know what I mean? Basically, if you're going up to someone and you're not following him because you don't believe he's a prophet sent to you by your God, why are you going to him for judgments when you've got your own scripture?
Yeah.
That you say is from God, and that you say is unadulterated or unedited or unchanged. Why do you need to then go to someone who you don't believe is a prophet and ask him for his opinion?
Exactly that.
Follow your own religion.
How are you anyway, bro? It's been a while. Ijaz is joining in about 5. I think he's going to be a little bit late.
I think I got red eye. Can you tell?
Daisy eye. Oh, yeah. Oh, is that from yesterday?
My eyes are just getting a bit dry. Most of my life's just on a bloody computer, innit? I'm going to go bike riding tomorrow, inshallah.
Bike ride? Oh, with a little one?
No. I'm going to drop my daughter off to get babysat. And then I'm going to meet up with a brother, a new revert. And we're going to go for a ride up to Rivington Pike.
Okay.
On the mountain bikes.
What's the weather like?
I have no idea.
You go out on a mountain bike, you don't know what the weather is.
Well, we'll find out when we're out, won't we?
Well, so if it's stormy, windy, raining weather, you're going out.
Maybe. If it's crap weather.
Going out. You ain't going out with your red eye.
It'll be the best thing for my red eye. Pure moisture.
Well, going out in the wind and rain on your bike like this. Yeah, shut up.
Honestly, the rain is the best weather for mountain biking.
Is it?
Yeah, because you're getting dead hot and sweaty and bothered, and the rain cools you down a bit.
Oh, the weather was terrible today, so I don't know what. I would never dream of going out on a mountain bike on that weather. Should put the link out anyway. Let's get some.
I don't mind it.
Very nice to have you back in the arena, by the way. It's been a while. Right, here's the link, mods. Make a welcome, Matt. Inshallah. Oh, Carter's here. Mashallah. Red Eye Jedi. What's that? Yeah, so Ijaz is joining in about 5 minutes. And Rumsey, this is clashed with his Jummah, so he'll be maybe about 30, 40 minutes late. That's all.
Okay, inshallah.
Hamza, he's a young whippersnapper compared to us oldies, says Jawad Shahid. Can you refute verses 1 John 5:7, Matthew 28:19, John 14:9, and John 10? Yes. Look, can I make it simple for anyone who... I mean, I know that wasn't a Christian. I'm pretty sure that was somebody responding to Christian claims. But let me make it easy for you. Okay, let's imagine the Bible said this. The New Testament said this. Jesus stood on the mount and said, I am co-equal to the Father, and I'm here to die for your sins. Right? It wouldn't mean jack to me, because that's just like somebody reading from the Hindu scriptures that Ganesh has an elephant's head or something like that, or the monkey army of Hanuman. You're just telling me what your book says. I don't care what your book says. And this is the point. So trying to justify your verses. If I'm doing an internal critique to see whether or not you're justified in holding the position you do based upon the book you read, fine. You know, so if a Hindu scripture wants to debate me that Ganesh had an elephant's head and he bases that on the teachings of his book, I couldn't argue against his book teaching this thing. Yeah. So what? Still doesn't make it true. It just means your book says that, and if you believe your book is true, then you're justified in the position you come to. Same with the New Testament, as far as I'm concerned. You can show me what you like. It doesn't make it true. Anyway, let's get it on. Tian, I'm pretty sure this is a Christian. Let's see, 1 second. Let me work out the right filter. There we go. Tian.
Hey Hamza.
How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. You?
I'm fantastic.
I'm not sure if you remember me, but I've been on this. Wait a second.
You've been on what?
You broke up. Hello?
Hello. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, yeah.
Okay. It's just the Wi-Fi has been a bit strange. As I was saying, I'm not sure if you can remember me.
I love your voice. You sound like you should be narrating some sort of like movie.
Yeah, hello.
Okay. So, as I was saying, I've remembered Hamza telling me that I should look more into religion and Islam. I think 2 months ago when I joined a similar live stream. I've looked into this so far, and regarding to what Hamza and another gentleman told me, I have a few questions. I'm wondering if I could ask them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You're muted.
Yeah, sorry, it's just for some reason I keep on hearing myself. Is there a way to fix this? Because
yeah, switch off your YouTube.
Okay, we'll do. That helps.
Yeah, you might have two things open.
Okay. Well, firstly, The other gentleman who was with Hamza at the time suggested that to look into research into which religion has the best evidence, I should first look at the roots and the filters to reduce my search. Otherwise, as we both suggested, there would have been too much religions for me to look into. And he gave me an example. For example, he told me that Islam has the best preserved holy book because, well, there's been carbon copies, there's been lots of people remembering it. Well, after
That's what I
thinking
said.
about
Are you saying that's what I said to you?
no, it was other gentlemen on the channel.
What? Okay, right, go on.
I could be wrong here. I could be interpreting him wrong. Well, after thinking about this, what I realized is that there are many filters, I think, that could justify how true religion could be. And to say that Islam excels in one or a few of them could be true. For example, the best preserved holy book example. But since there's so many of these filters, how do we know that if a religion excels in one of them, it is the most truthful of all of them? Does that make sense?
Okay, filters are very simple. Yeah, you look for the thing that's not mutually exclusive between the two. So, for example, reincarnation. Yeah, the idea that when you die, you come back as a fish or a caterpillar or some other human being, whatever it may be. Okay, it's either true or it isn't. Agreed?
Agreed.
So we'll use this as a filter. Do you believe
Fair enough.
reincarnation is true?
As of right now, no.
Right. So you have to look at the claims if you want to dismiss the reincarnation religions. Just look at the claims and why they believe it, and it doesn't stand scrutiny. So you can dismiss the reincarnation religions.
I could be a bit confused here, but why is it that you think that religions that believe in reincarnation are not true?
No, because it's all about the justification of what you believe to be true. So if someone says, I believe that when we die, we come back as a fly or yeah, why? The point is this: either reincarnation religions are true or non-reincarnations are true, yeah?
Yes.
So you could use that as a filter. The religions that believe in one God and the only one God is worthy of worship, or the religions that believe in multitude of gods, multiplicity of gods. So you can either be a Jew or you can be a Odinist. Can't be both. Yeah. So so you start off with the principle of, before you even get to religion, the concept of God, what you believe the concept of God is, and then you look for a way of life that marries up with your concept, what you believe God should be. So when I became a Muslim, before I became a Muslim, I became believing in the existence of God, a creator. I didn't have any stories behind it. I just said what the qualities I should expect of this creator. Yeah. When I look at Christianity, I don't see that vision. When I look at Christianity, I see a God that doesn't have mercy on his creation and all of these things, and the idea that he became a man and he died. For me, I can't buy into this. And then so when I can't buy into something, I look at who is saying this is the case. Then I look at the scriptures that are supporting the case of this idea of this particular God. And why am I believing these? They're so reliable. The authorship is unknown and they contradict each other. So why should I take this as a standard of what reality is? Do you understand?
I see. I'm just gonna try to simplify that and tell you that again to see if I'm right. Are you saying
just 1 second? Ijaz the Trinity. Salam alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. Wa alaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sorry for being late. Yusuf didn't text me in time.
Well, that's how it's saying.
You text me.
So I was busy playing Helldivers, which is the better game than Daisy. So
It's not better than Banishers.
I don't know what Banishers is, and if it was good, I would have heard about it. That's one of my filters.
Yeah, that's what I thought until I played it, and I was like, wow. And it only came out like 2 weeks ago. Anyway.
That's what I was saying. Would it be right to say that we look at judgments that we think are correct? For example, I may think that there's only one God, and he's the only one that is worthy of worship, and I may not think that people reincarnate after they die, because that just seems a lot more unreasonable. I mean, first, based upon what we think seem reasonable, and look into those religions that fit those criteria first. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Unless I'm confused.
I'm just about the filters. See, for example, I would never say to you, "Oh, filter out the religion of the one that has the preserved book," for example. For me, see, this is why I get irritated sometimes. People come on and saying, "Oh, you said this," and then you say this thing, and I'm like, "I never said that," because it's not something I would say. It's not a filter I would use.
Well, fair enough, I guess.
What are you confused about? I don't understand. What's your problem?
So the last time when I was here, I mentioned that because I do not know what to believe in. I currently do not have a very concrete belief in this area. And the gentleman who spoke to me said, because sorry, my bad. I was saying that there is too many religion for one to look through in detail in a lifetime. So it'll be very hard for us to determine which is the correct one. And even if we do, the larger chances are that the actual correct religion lies within those we do not look at. The gentleman who spoke to me at the time suggested that there are these filters that we could remove a very large amount of all of the present religions. We only have to look at a few of them, making the task a lot more manageable, I would say. That was, and then what he said about these filters, I'm like, how these filters work? Because I think there are many filters. For example, the reincarnation example that you gave. Suppose that I believe right now that, which I do, that if something dies and it gets reincarnated, that's quite absurd. But there might be another filter that suggests that, I don't know, if there is a supernatural effect affecting a large population of a religion's followers, that will probably make it more valid, in my opinion. And that might apply to the religion
Let
too.
me just make this simple, flipping heck. I don't know who gave you this filter last time.
Do you mind if I?
Can I just say something and then you can say Yusuf? Tian, do you believe in God?
I am not sure.
Right, so start there. Go on, Yusuf, sorry.
So I've just put a link in the chat and back.
Thank you. Take a look.
That's
shameless self-promotion.
If you go to page 75, there's
Is that his book? Is he shared his book?
I'm not mentioning it's my book. It's just you guys.
It is his book as well.
Just shush face. You said.
Honestly.
I didn't even mention it was my book.
Yeah.
So it's just shut your face and let me bloody.
All right. Okay, self-promote.
So if you go to page 75, there's a chapter called "Too Many Gods and Religions." Page 75, and it goes into the process of you group things in rather than going through every single religion because there's millions of them, you put them into categories, and then you ask questions about the categories and whether or not those categories seem likely or not.
I must be honest, the link says page not found, but when I reload, it brings me to the home that shows these books here. So can I ask what the title of the book might be?
It's called Nihilism and Islam. I'll get you a better link.
Who's it written by?
By Yusuf Ponders.
I don't know why that's.
If I do say so myself.
I'll appreciate if you guys could post the name.
Yeah, so there's a link. Try this one instead.
So tell him who's the author of the book.
Why are you distracting from the point?
I'm just trying to so we can look it up. Who's the author of the book?
So you can get it for free. You can get it for free.
Look at his disclaimer now. Yeah, I'm not self-promoting.
Thank you, Yusuf.
It's free.
I appreciate your free.
I'm not making money from this. It's free.
I'll your own book wrong. Like you've had this book out for a year and you got the link for it wrong.
I didn't. I tried giving him the direct access to the link to the book, to the PDF, but you need to
get the book.
In order to get it.
Yeah, you need to get the book.
No, the website requires you to put your name in and your email, and then
I'll put my name in.
But it's on. Go to page. No problem, Tian. Go to page 75 and it goes into it. And basically what you do is you group things into categories and you ask questions about the categories. If it turns out that polytheism is absurd, you don't need to look into polytheistic religions. If the notion of there being a multiplicity of gods that compete with each other, that have beginnings, that have ends, that are dependent upon worship, Like, have you seen Clash of the Titans?
I'll take a look of your book later. But I think I should use my time more reasonably here.
Sorry, that was a question.
He thinks you were promoting the book.
I'll take a look later. Because I do have a few questions. So you guys have time and hopefully patience.
Tian. I don't know if there's something being lost in translation. He's telling you exactly what I just said to you. There's different categories of how you envisage God to be. And if you think there's a world where God's like using human beings like chess, like he says, Clash of the Titans, you know, one supports this person, one supports that person. If you believe this is a kind of a reality for you, yeah, then you can, that's your category. And then within that category, you can, is it the Greek gods? Is it the Roman gods? Is it the Norse gods? Or whatever it may be. Okay, if you think, well, no, I don't believe. Yeah.
So the point I was going to make is like, for example, in Clash of the Titans, the gods are dependent upon the worship of the people they create. And the whole notion is absurd. That they themselves create the humans, and their power is dependent upon whether or not the humans worship them. And when the humans stop worshipping them in Clash of the Titans, they rebel against Zeus. Zeus starts to lose power, and then Hades starts to rise because he feeds on fear. And this idea that the gods are dependent upon their creation is absurd, because it's the other way around.
Is that what happens in Clash of the Titans?
Clash of the Titans, yeah. Zeus loses power because they
the gods rebel against Zeus.
No, the men.
That doesn't happen in Clash of the Titans.
Mankind starts a war with the gods
in Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, and they start pulling down the statues and breaking the statues, and then what's his name? Is it
the Titans rise up?
Is it Clash of the Titans? Which one is it?
No, you got the wrong. You got the wrong.
Which one is it with Release the Kraken and Medusa?
No, that's Clash of the Titans. Clash of Titans.
Yeah, that is the new one. That's exactly what happens.
There's a film, Clash of
Titans.
Yeah,
it's a film. Clash of the Titans.
Sounds like American Gods.
I mean, it's 2010.
No, what's the one when they go up the mountain and they get to the top of the mountain? That's where Olympia is.
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah, Clash of the Titans is the.
That's not the Clash of the Titans I remember.
The whole point of it is that Zeus is losing power because his power is dependent upon worship.
On worship, yeah.
Yeah, and this is an absurd notion because that makes the creator dependent rather than independent. Whereas the Islamic notion or the monotheistic notion generally is that God is independent, that he is not in need of anything, including our worship. So the Islamic notion, for example, is that Allah is free from need. Yeah, he doesn't need us to worship him. If you don't worship him, it doesn't affect him in any way because he is independent, he's self-sufficient, he's the all-powerful, he's not in need of creation. Now, if polytheism doesn't make sense because of that and a number of other reasons, there's a really good book called Ibn Taymiyyah on the oneness of God.
Islam and nihilism.
Ibn Taymiyyah and the oneness of God. Ignore these two; they're both trolls, and they just sort of distract from the points I'm trying to make.
I think they're respectful gentlemen.
If you're going through the arguments and you think, okay, polytheism just seems absurd to me, then you cross that one off. And then you don't need to worry about, if someone comes up to you and goes, well, I've got a religion for you, you just ask the question, is it monotheistic or is it polytheistic? If they say polytheistic, you can go, all right, it's in a bit. I'm not interested in it because I already know.
Dismiss this idea.
But then I need to look into first why I would think that a monotheistic religion is more valid than otherwise.
Could I just make this simple for you, Tian? He's giving you the principle, fundamental laws of logic, which are universal. He's speaking about the principle of non-contradiction. You can't have two co-eternal, all-powerful entities. That's what he's trying to say to you. There can only be ultimately one authority, otherwise there would be chaos. And that entity can't be dependent on his creation, otherwise he's not all-powerful or the most powerful. But he would lack power, knowledge, wisdom in some way. So he's not giving you something that is specific to Islam. These are the three fundamental laws of logic. The law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, and the law of the excluded middle. This is not a Muslim invention. Have you learned anything about logic, the three laws of logic, three fundamental laws of logic? Yes, no?
I haven't done philosophy, but I agree with what you said there, as in that there's only one, there can only be one infinite being, because that only makes sense. However, I would think that many religions, such as, let's say, Hinduism doesn't suggest that there's one all-powerful deity, unless I'm wrong. It
It
just suggests there's
does
many.
technically Prakriti is one, I think, if I'm not mistaken. They still
Well, then
end
I
up
am wrong.
with there a particular form of polytheism called henotheism. There's still one main entity at the end of the day, and that's because all religions have to confront one simple truth. There has to be one thing, one entity that rules, has power, and determines the existence of other things. In philosophy, this is called a necessary entity. So you and I were contingent entities. We don't need to exist. But God, one specific entity, needs to exist in order to create us and bring us into creation, bring us into existence. So that's what Yusuf is trying to convey to you and present you with something which is coherent with logic. Yusuf, if you want to take it up from there, Hamza.
Okay. Yeah, so for example, say there's two gods, and one decides that Tian should exist, and the other decides that Tian should not exist. What happens?
Yeah, that's why I said I agree that it is true that two infinite gods cannot exist at the same time. I agree with that logically.
Okay. Okay, so then what you do then is you can say, okay, if this religion posits more than one, and these more than one are in conflict with each other, and one overpowers the other, then if one is being overpowered, it's not a god. Yeah, if one is dependent upon something, it's not really a god. The true God is one that is all-knowing, all-powerful. Yeah, that is the self-subsisting, the independent. Yeah.
Yeah, I see your point. But I'm saying, firstly, is there any more such filters that you think would help? Because I personally right now I can't think of any more that has such obvious logical contradiction. Secondly,
yeah, so like, is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a prophet? Yes or no? If he is, Islam. If no, then not Islam. Is Jesus a prophet, or is he not a prophet, or is he the Son of God? Yeah, if it turns out he's not the Son of God, go on.
Fair enough. I'll look into that then. Thank you very much. Another question?
Tian.
Yes.
Are you listening to what you're saying?
I've been trying to.
Okay. I think you've got really, really poor comprehension skills if that's the case. Okay. What you should be saying right now is, you're right. Before I get into this, I need to ascertain what the categories are and what makes them contradictory. So, like we said, if there's a god that's a multiplicity of gods, like the Norse or the Romans or the Viking or the Greeks or whatever, and you think that explains it or that makes sense to you, if that's true, that's your category. If you don't think that's true, dismiss it and move on. Next stage. Yeah. Look at what the teachings are. Yeah. And these are your categories. Now, I was going to make it even easier for you. Shall I make it easiest for you?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay. First, come to the conclusion that God exists or a creator exists. Yeah. Hit that first. Until you reach that position, forget religion.
Fair enough.
Because look, it's very, very simple. Is there a God or is there not a God? If there's not a God, don't worry about religion. If there is a God, let's work with it. But if you're still not sure whether God exists, deal with that first. Because if there is no God, there are no religions that are true. You don't need to worry about nothing.
But if, say, Prophet Muhammad is a prophet of God, doesn't that just imply that there has to be a God? Because, No,
but I'm not saying to you, believe there's a God because Prophet Muhammad said there's a God. I want you to come to the conclusion, looking at existence, looking at creation, looking at DNA, looking at chemistry, looking at physics, and say there must be something intelligent that has caused all of these things. Yeah, I need that.
Okay. So, do you think I should research into that in my own time, or do you think we should discuss it now?
What were you
whether God
looking up for
exists?
2 months? You've asked this question before 2 months ago. What were you doing for 2 months? What was your research about? What did you study in 2 months since you had the last conversation?
Well, since the last conversation, I did think about this. In fact, this is the very thing I thought about. But now I'm just entirely unsure because I talked with a few friends, and we came to another conclusion, so to say.
Get new friends.
That
Step 1, get new friends. They don't seem very intelligent. Point number 2, can I just say how ironic it is that Yusuf linked you to a book and the error about nihilism, and the link says, "We are sorry, but the page you are looking for does not exist." The irony in that is just ridiculous. Now, thirdly,
yeah, I mean, he posted a second link, and I think that one is much better.
Alhamdulillah. So I would recommend you read the book because it goes through these questions. But as Hamza said, if you already came to the conclusion that a God does exist, then you necessarily have to accept that there could only be one God that exists. That's step number 2. And if there's only one God exists, then you look at all the religions, step 3, that teach that one God exists. And so you look at them, and ultimately there are only a few handful of religions that do teach that. There's Islam, Judaism, some people would consider Christian. And so we go to step 3, we look at Islam, Judaism, Christianity. We find that in Christianity, God suffers, therefore he's not the most powerful. We look at Judaism, God forgets, therefore he's not the most knowing. That reduces it to Islam, most knowledgeable, most powerful, most wise. It makes sense and it's coherent. So I would suggest, if you don't agree with those 3 steps, walk back the video, look at them seriously, and then return. Otherwise, take that 3rd step and accept that there is no God other than Allah. That makes sense. He has these attributes which we accept. They're reasonable, coherent, and cogent. And I don't think any other religion teaches anything similar to or equal to that, which is why we say Islam is in a category of its own. It's distinctive and truthful.
All right, I see your point. Well, maybe I am confused then, because I think you just said what Hamza said, which is
I said it's in a different way. I just laid it out in a part that makes sense. So
maybe that's a good thing. It proves I understand stuff. Well, I think that, again, as I said, I don't think right now that God exists, which is the first step, and yeah, the step I should be dealing with right now.
Well, let's make this easy. Let's make this easy. Do you exist?
I exist. I'm not sure if I exist. Close one there.
You're not sure if you exist.
I'm not sure if I exist.
Do you have a balcony?
A balcony? Not right now. I have windows though.
Don't give them a balcony one. Tell them the candle one. Where you put your hand over a candle while it's burning, and then tell me how long it takes you to recognize that you're existing.
Well,
hold up. I think if you're not sure you exist, I might have a book for you. Okay?
What's that book? What's that book, Ijaz?
I'll be glad to create the links again.
Have you got a candle? Have you got a candle?
No, but I can see you guys' point. I don't think a physical burning is necessary for me to realize that. The point I was trying.
Do you believe you exist or not exist?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure if you exist.
That's what I'm saying. I think if you put your hand over a candle, you'd most definitely recognize you exist. You don't have to do it, but like
he actually just said, proof of pain. Sorry, pain doesn't prove he exists.
What?
Well, I don't think.
Hold up. Do the candle thing first, then tell us that afterwards.
Yes.
I promise you're gonna change your mind.
The candle thinks first, then tell us.
Yeah, do that first.
Do it.
Do it.
Okay, I'll make it even easier. Set yourself on fire and then tell us you don't exist.
Pathetically, metaphorically, spiritually.
The point I was trying to make is that in a conventional sense, of course, any sane person will think that it exists. and I think I'm quite sane as of right now. But the point,
I
what I was
don't know
trying
how
to
to
say
tell
is
you
that,
this. If you're not sure you exist, then you're not sane. I got to be honest with you.
well, that's fair enough. My sanity has been something I've been questioning lately. Guys, the point I was trying to make is that I don't think, as of right now, anything could be entirely proven, because the way I think about it is that anything that we think is true must be something that's logical. But I think, now I could be wrong again, is that logic kind of goes against itself, because anything you deduce from logic comes from assumptions. So if you think
That
about it
doesn't
that way,
that doesn't make it go against itself. Like, for example, is there such thing as truth?
I'm not sure, but what I do think right now is that there's not a real way for us to know
Yes,
certain.
I'll give you an easy thing, right?
Sorry, just need to dose of Hamza. Can I give him a dose of Hamza?
Yeah, go ahead, Hamza. Sorry, Yusuf. He needs Hamza.
Did you just say you're not sure if truth exists?
What were you guys suggesting? I'm sorry.
No, we asked you, do you believe truth exists?
Do I believe truth exists? I don't know.
You do believe truth exists.
Why do I believe truth? Wait, what?
No, you have
no choice.
Yusuf asked you a straight question. Do you believe truth exists? And you went,
I don't know.
Right. You don't know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you was asked that question, how did you understand the question?
Do I believe that there is a physical world and a definite truth?
No, that's not what he asked you.
Well, I'll be willing to hear what you're trying to ask.
Okay, so truth is what reality is. Whatever the reality is, that would be the truth. Agreed? And as Jazz said earlier about the law of non-contradiction, you can't have two explanations to the same phenomena, both be true. Agreed? So there's going to be one truth. Agreed?
Yes. Well, firstly, we're making assumptions here. Well, we're assuming that
listen, stop trying to be clever and just understand the principle. I'll make it easy for you. Even easier. Flip a neck. Okay. Do you accept God has to exist or not exist? One or the other. It has to be one or the other.
Logically, that would be true, but I'm not sure, because I don't know if logic should be true. Do
you accept either God has to exist or not exist? There's no other third option.
In the national sense, yes. Right now, when we're discussing this in a philosophical sense, no.
Tian, I'm not going to waste any more time with you. Take care. I'm not going to waste any more time with that. Absolutely no chance. It's just scared of getting trapped into answering a question that he's going to have to then hold to his principle. It's just
let him read the book. Like, honestly, I think he's
What book should he read, Jazz?
When I clicked the link, it said it doesn't exist. So, I mean, it just doubled down on my nihilism. It's really not helping. You got to change that ever page, Yusuf.
And who wrote such a book?
Someone who ponders quite a lot.
Oh.
Is his camera frozen or is he not? Oh no, yeah, he was frozen.
Yeah, there he is.
I was like, how is he keeping still that much?
You see that wry smile? Yeah. See, there comes to a point when someone's so skeptical, just I can't be bothered.
That's beyond skepticism. If you don't know that you exist, like you said, it's a comprehension issue, right? There's no point to a conversation if you're not sure that you exist. It's just that simple.
No, you sure you're in the conversation, mate? No, he's not. I don't really want to do this. I haven't heard this nonsense. I haven't heard this geezer nonsense for a while, though. And
if you bring on Burns, I'm leaving. If you bring on Burns, I don't know if he's there or not. I can't see.
Burns is next as well. There's one ahead of Burns, and then there's Burns.
My blood pressure is...
I've not heard his nonsense for ages. And
I heard 2 days ago.
He never lasts long in the arena anyway. So let's hear the nonsense he's got. It's Frank.
Oh my God, Hamza, you.
But this is the arena. This is not.
Greetings, men.
EF Dawah. So there's no kid gloves here. What do you want, Frank?
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Unfortunately.
Okay. I just want to check this microphone's okay. Yeah, Hamza. You know, I've been to Speaker's Corner 3 times, and unfortunately, I've never met you there. But if I did meet you there, you know, you wouldn't be able to mute me or cut me off. You know, you'd have to defend Islam, defend the Qur'an. So
I'll
now
just
I'm
make
going
you
to
look
ask.
stupid in front of everyone, mate.
So now I'm going to ask, can you defend the Quran?
I'll just make you look stupid in front of everyone.
Okay. Well, that's your challenge. Have you heard of the Caspian Gate?
No.
Okay. And I'd encourage anyone watching this to just Google Caspian Gate. So back in 330 BC, Alexander, when he was conquering the Persian Empire, he pursued Darius III through narrow mountain passes near the Caspian Sea. And these came to be known as the Gates of Alexander. But over time, a myth grew up about it. And by about the 1st century, like Josephus wrote about it. And this myth grew up that Alexander had built this gate of iron to keep out, well, what the Greeks called Scythians, keep the barbarians out. So there's this iron gate, and when he wrote about it twice, and he said he identified the Scythians, however you want to pronounce it, he had identified them with Gog and Magog. And Pliny wrote about it too. There's a whole lot of ancient writers wrote about it. But by the 7th century, this legend had sort of grown and grown. And there's a romance of Alexander, and there's the Syriac Alexander legend. And what they're basically saying is that they're really propaganda pieces for the Byzantine emperor, to say that the Byzantine emperor, who was a Greek speaking and so on, that he was the kind of the spiritual successor of Alexander, and he was keeping the barbarian forces at bay. And so he was the descendant of Alexander, and they kind of Christianized Alexander as if Alexander had been a proto-Christian king, even though he was a pagan. And the thing is, nearly everything in all the points that you find in the Dhul Qarnain story, they're in that story. And as I say, Gog and Magog, that comes from Josephus. So you've got a legend, which everyone acknowledges it's just a legend, is there in the Quran, in the Dhul Qarnain story.
So what's your point?
Well, I'm saying that here's a myth, a legend that was around at the time, and what Muhammad, whoever wrote the Quran, he just heard stories.
There's your problem. See, there's your problem. See, the problem is, you're trying to work in your paradigm. And you work in our paradigm, or you work in your paradigm. You can't work in both.
Yeah, Islam's in a category of its own. I know that.
No, you work in our paradigm. So we don't believe Muhammad wrote the Quran or was the author of the Quran. We don't believe he lied and was crazy or was deceived into claiming an angel spoke to him. We don't believe this thing. If you want to make that claim, make that claim. Yeah, because that's what you're trying to say. So you're trying to say, well, Muhammad wrote the Quran. Yeah, so you're saying he lied. Or he's crazy.
No, I didn't say he wrote it. He told the stories. Others wrote it down.
Well, he told the stories. So an angel didn't speak to Muhammad. Peace and blessings upon him.
Well, does the Quran say that?
Do you believe an angel speak? He said that.
No. Well, it's not. The Quran doesn't say that.
No, Prophet Muhammad said
that.
Prophet Muhammad said that.
Where did he say that? It's not in the Quran.
Okay.
But what is in the Quran? What is in the Quran is a story about.
Here's your problem. You see, here's your problem. You're asking me what the Prophet Muhammad said, and then asking me to find that in the Quran. Okay. The Quran is not the words of Muhammad. Peace and blessings upon him. We find the words of Muhammad in the Hadith and the reports from his companions. That's where we find that. We don't. The Quran is not a biography of Muhammad. Yeah, on what he said and what he went and what he did and all of these things. The Quran is not that. The Quran is history of man. Yeah, and guidance for man and a warning of man's future. Yeah, that's the Quran. So to ask me to find things that the Prophet ﷺ said based in the Quran, or it tells me straight away you don't understand Islam. You don't understand that paradigm. Okay, so yes, Muhammad, peace be upon him, claimed an angel came to him in the cave of Hira and told him he was a messenger of God.
When did he say that?
And for 23 years, he received revelation from this same angel. Okay, this is his claim. Okay.
No, it's not. No, this is just all fabrication.
Why is it?
Look, what was Josephus a Muslim prophet?
Stop. Why was it?
Was Josephus a Muslim prophet?
Why was it
a simple question?
Why was it fabrication?
I can't find any truth in it. It was written hundreds of years after Muhammad. Who cares
what you can find? You're saying it's fabricated. Give me evidence for its fabrication.
Well, I've just given you one.
Trust me, bro, ain't
that-
gonna
that
fly here.
We
Give me
start with the
evidence for its
Quran.
fabrication. No, we're
We
not starting
start
with
with the Quran.
We're talking about the claim of
No,
Muhammad, peace and blessing be
I'm
upon him.
starting with the.
Well, I'm
I
not.
don't think.
Well, I'm not. I'm starting with the claim of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him.
What makes Muhammad
Well,
a
he made the
prophet?
claim an angel spoke to him.
What makes
Are you
Muhammad
saying
a
he was a
prophet?
liar?
Well, he didn't say it, so how could he be a liar?
Well, he didn't say an angel spoke to him.
No,
He didn't.
no. It's not in the Quran. It's something so important.
Goodbye, Frank. I tried. I'm not going to waste my time with you. I spent 5 minutes explaining to you that we don't believe the Quran contains the speech and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. It is not a biography of Muhammad. Just because your Bible is all amalgamated, this is not the Quran. The Quran is the word of Allah, separate from it. Oh, I tried. Was I fair with him?
Actually, can you run him back for a second if he's still there?
I've kicked him.
Oh, you've kicked him. Okay. Yeah, I think
you can say what you want to say, though.
No, I mean, like, listen, the Quran does not make the claim that the Dhul Qarnain or the Caspian Gates are what is referenced. That is his assumption. He seems to think that because there is one popular story in the Greco-Roman myths about it, that can only be the possible person who built a gate. But there are actually many gates extending as far as the Don River in modern-day Russia, all the way down to Azerbaijan. It's not just one. So there are multiple stories that revolve around a gate being built to keep the hordes out of Eastern Europe, basically. So it's not unique to Islam. And in any case, the Quran does not name the location or the place. So this is just him with his own interpretation, making an assumption that the Quran nor the prophetic sunnah makes. So I can reject his assumption and the argument is done there. But we can go a step further. If similarity in story means that the story is a myth, or what happens to Jesus, a messianic type figure doing miracles? How unique? How special? Well, it isn't, right? You've got Apollinaris, you've got the Egyptian. It's not the only figure that's messianic-like and does miracles. So this thing of similarity is inconsistent, and I don't think he's serious about the argument. I would recommend he stop trying to poke holes in Islam and spend more time steel manning his own faith, because let me grant you that Islam is false. What happens to your Christianity? It doesn't prove Christianity to be true, especially his unique Frankian brand of Christianity. And in any case, even if he came to speak, I don't think he'd enjoy speaking to you very much. He'll get shut down pretty quickly, and it's not a very nice atmosphere when you're clowned on in public. But that's my take on it, Hamza or Yusuf.
I'm like you said, removing him is just saving him from humiliation.
So
the problem he has, if he's trying to say that, because this story sounds something familiar, therefore it was made up, well, then the Trinity and the idea of a concept of a virgin being giving birth to, it's in numerous previous religions prior to Christianity.
It's not unique.
It's not a unique thing. So we could say the same thing. Well, they've stole the story of the Trinity, and they've stole the story of this virgin birth and all of these things, and the Christians invented this thing using these. It's the same. This is the headache I get with Frank. Yeah, he comes with a standard that refutes his own position every time. He was mocking flying donkeys, and yet he's happy with talking donkeys, for example. It's like, well, what is that? Well, so talking donkeys are okay, but ones that fly are not okay. I'm not saying we believe in flying donkeys, but it was just the principle of it. And you believe in talking snakes, and you're a bloody Christian, mate. You believe in miracles. You believe in miraculous things that defy the norm. You can't come on here.
Chickens. Four-legged chickens is the one that gets me all the time. I've never seen a four-legged chicken. And to make it worse, the mustard seed is not the smallest seed in the world. Like basic things that it gets wrong.
Anyway, so that was the precursor.
Listen, you can't.
Jason Burns.
He's praying. Hold on, he's praying.
Oh, a second. I was remove him when he's praying.
Let him pray in peace.
He's praying.
So I just wanted to add as well, with the whole Dhul Qarnain is Alexander thing. So nothing in the Quran or the Hadith state that Dhul Qarnain is Alexander the Great, number one.
Yeah.
It states Dhul Qarnain was a monotheist. If it is a fact that Alexander was not a monotheist, then Dhul Qarnain is not Alexander.
This is debated though. There is the argument that he was a monotheist, a lot like Cyrus the Great in his earlier life. So this argument does. This is why
Okay,
they say.
so then it goes two ways. Either one, if he was a monotheist, then it could possibly be him. If he wasn't, then it's not him. The fact, even if they prove that Alexander was a polytheist, then it's simple. That doesn't mean that the story told in the Quran is false. It just means that isn't the person that's being referenced in the story. Simple.
Yeah, valid. Someone spent $2 to tell Hamza, bring Frank back. I've never seen someone waste $2 before. But that was an absolute £2. Sorry, yeah, it's not going to be dollars. Yusuf, I will seek a refund. All right, Jason has finished praying.
Hello, folks.
What do you do, mate?
God bless. I just want to say one or two things before I ask two questions. I was watching Ijaz's debate with Sam Simone, and I've watched a few other debates of Ijaz. I just want to say, Ijaz, and I mean this sincerely, I'm really amazed at your memory, your encyclopedia memory. It's quite amazing, bro. So I don't know how you do it, but it's quite amazing.
Drugs.
I've got two questions.
I'm just being honest. Drugs.
I've got two questions. One on verisimilitude, and one on moral motive. On the verisimilitude, I've just looked just now while you were talking about 37 verses of the Quran, about commentating about Jesus, and I was just wondering, from your perspective, do you think the Quran has verisimilitude? Do you think the Quran has background information about first century Judaism? So for example, if you look at the New Testament, it mentions Pharisees, Sadducees, the specifics like that. I was just reading, it mentions John, it mentions the word disciple, it mentions the word Messiah, it mentions quite a lot about Old Testament patriarchs, but I don't see much verisimilitude. I don't see much background, historical background to the life of Jesus in the Quran. No sermons, there's no sermons really. The parables, there's no real parables. And also there's only one or two miracles. So how do you cross that bar? The second one is with the Apostle Paul.
Are we on a theme today? I think the theme has been the same the whole way, man.
What motive do you think he had for saying what he said? What motive do you think he had? So those are the two questions. Verisimilitude, the background to the New Testament, the Old and the Quran about the historical Jesus. Why isn't there detail in the Quran? Secondly, the morality of Paul. What motive did he have, according to you?
So with regards to your first question, is it necessary for the Quran to have to mention everything that's in the Bible?
No, it doesn't have to mention everything, but you would think if it mentions more about Jesus than Muhammad, so obviously the Quran has a high view of Jesus. You think that if it is mentioning things about...
Whoa, Jason. It speaks more about Moses than Jesus.
Okay, I'm just saying, but it mentions a lot about Jesus. Yeah.
No, but it speaks more about Moses.
Well, one sec. I've got a point I need to make here. So the problem with the argument that you're making is that there's lots of things that it could not mention. Yeah? And if it wasn't just copy paste, everything that was in the Bible is just basically in the Quran, and the Quran comes as a repeat of your Bible, then you couldn't make that argument. But if it misses anything, then you could always come along and say, well, why is that not mentioned? The point is that there's no need for it to be mentioned. Why does it have to be?
Do you think Jesus was Jewish?
No, we think he was a Muslim.
No, his tribe.
So
ethnicity, Jewish, we grant.
He could be,
just to be clear here, if I could answer the question quickly, forgive me. But all of the details that the Bible uses does not contribute to Christianity or your beliefs about Jesus
It's
being
Ramsey.
more true, right? The Quran presents less background data about Jesus, but more Muslims believe in him consistently than Christians do with more data about him in the Bible. So the argument really doesn't hold up to the water, Jason. The second thing is, yeah, the Bible repeats itself. You know the Synoptic Gospels. It repeats the same details without benefit. The same thing twice. And usually this tends to produce contradictions, which is why we as Muslims don't believe in it. So I don't see your argument as being consistent here. More background information does not correlate with more accuracy in the truth of belief. But before I finish, I think Yusuf was finishing his point before we had interjected. Let him finish, inshallah. Salam alaikum.
Yeah, no, that was my only point. It's just that, like, you could make this argument if it misses anything. And if it did mention the things that you wanted it to mention now, you could pull up and say, well, it didn't mention this. And we could just go on ad infinitum. The main point is there's nothing necessary about it having to be mentioned. There's no need for it. Like, God could reveal another scripture if he so willed and not mention anything that he'd mentioned in the Old Testament, in the New Testament, in the Qur'an or anything. And it could just be completely new. And the fact that there is no mention of the previous things doesn't negate it from being scripture. If it comes from God, it comes from God. And it's missing things or having things in there that weren't mentioned or having things repeated, that's completely irrelevant, I think, to whether or not that is revelation. And one other point I just want to make, because it's really funny. Brother Rumsey has come on looking like a Christian saint picture with like the little halo.
I was thinking that. It looks like he's got a saint, like a halo behind.
The logo behind you, the way you were positioned, it made it look like one of them iconographies, like, where they have like...
Yeah.
I meant to do that. I totally meant to do that. No, sorry.
So that would be my...
By the way, funny thing, Pastor Jason, I've been seeing you arguing with these guys for years and years now. Years ago, I was watching them do it. Now I'm on the panel watching you do it.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay, well, nice to meet you, bro.
Okay, so here's the thing you've got to understand. Is the Quran a biography of Jesus? No, not at all. Is it a biography of Muhammad, peace be upon him? No. Is it a biography of Moses? No. It isn't a biography of anyone specific. It's a biography of man. And so the previous prophets are mentioned to bring their lessons to us. So, for example, through Prophet Joseph, we learn patience, and through hardship. So we learn the lessons of the previous prophets. We don't need to know their whole biography. That's the point of the Quran. And then we have the Hadith, which like I said, it's like a theme tonight. And we have the Hadith that tells us the biography of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. Yeah. So the Quran will speak about Moses. As I've just said to you, the Quran speaks more about Moses than Jesus. Now, if you're trying to use that as a standard, it speaks more about Jesus than Muhammad, then you would have to use that same standard and say, well, actually, maybe Moses is more important than Jesus. And you clearly don't believe that. So this is why I get concerned when people come and they try to paradigm shift us into ignoring our paradigm and try to drag us into your paradigm, then try to hold us accountable to our values based upon your paradigm you've created, which doesn't make any sense. Okay. As for your Paul question, Paul had no authority to do anything. He wanted authority. He wanted people to listen to him. He wanted to be a somebody because he was a nobody. Yeah. And you can see throughout his letters, that's what he did. He was complaining when people would listen to other people rather than himself. Yeah. So there's some motivation. Paul, I don't believe, was a Pharisee. 100%, I don't believe that. I don't believe he was some zealot Jew who was persecuting these people. I don't believe that at all. Yeah. So again, if you want to work within, if you want to ask me that question, and in my paradigm, you're talking about a completely different guy that you've been taught to believe who Paul was.
Okay, can I come back? I've listened to you all respectfully and appreciate what you just said. I think that if you read the Gnostic Gospels, the Gospel of Thomas and many of the Gnostic Gospels, there's very little verisimilitude. There's very little background information concerning the first century Judaism. So to me, it seems, this is just my opinion, humble opinion, that there must have been some kind of sects of Christian Jewish sects that Muhammad knew, because the Quran seems to imitate the Gnostic Gospels, where there's very little verisimilitude. Because you'd think that if Jesus lived during Second Temple Judaism, you'd at least feel like if the Quran's revealed, okay, I get what your point. The Quran you're saying is trying to just give the main points, but there's no Jewish flavor to very few of the statements. Not all of them. There's one or two that do have a Jewish flavor, like it mentions John the Baptist in the Quran. But you'd think there'd be more of a Jewish flavor to the statements like of first century Judaism.
Have you read the Quran?
And yeah, in the Quran, yeah.
Have you read it?
And I've just read while you were talking tonight.
Have you read the Quran?
I've read the Quran, but I've just read 37.
Oh, what's in Surah Al-Baqarah? What's Surah Al-Baqarah all about?
Well, I can't remember. I can't remember the names of the things, you know.
The first surah you read. The first surah you read. What's it about?
The first one is about worshipping Allah, giving honor to Allah.
No, not Fatiha. I'm talking about Baqarah. Sorry, the second surah.
But can I just finish, please?
No, because you're making a point that the Quran doesn't speak about the Jews and how they were and this, that, the other, and then there's a whole chapter about them.
No.
The longest chapter in the Quran is about them.
No, of course there's a Jewish background. I'm on about first century Judaism, Hamza. That's my specific point. First century Judaism. That's what I'm on about, my friend. Yeah.
What's
Secondly,
first century Judaism?
There were Pharisees, there were Sadducees, there were all sorts of different people. There were various names during that time.
Well, what would that matter? Why does that matter?
Who cares?
Why does this matter in the Quran?
Yes.
But who cares?
That's what I think. Like, why is this? Because the thing is, as well, the thing you need to remember, and someone made this comment in the chat. So the Quran was revealed for all of mankind, not just the Jews. So it's taking a universal standpoint with its revelation, because it's meant for all peoples
of all time.
Its lack of focus on these like different minority groups that lived in a particular place is irrelevant. It doesn't. That doesn't add or take away from the notion of it being revelation.
But I see what you're saying, Yusuf, and I appreciate your point. But there are
Jason Burns. Look who it is. Jason.
He bought me some figs once in Manchester.
I was supposed to come on the show before, but I've been a bit busy. I just tuned in and I saw you. I thought I have to come on and see Jason Burns. Jason,
do
you remember you was nearly a Muslim in Manchester city centre many, many years ago? You nearly accepted Islam. Do you remember that?
I can't remember, bro. Listen, bro, I'm the strongest Christian you'll ever meet, John.
After that encounter, you are, yeah. You know,
sometimes I have cornflakes for my dinner. Sometimes, you know, I'm standing for Jesus on cornflakes.
Yeah. So, do you remember when I saved you from the atheist?
Oh, I do. And then I think a few weeks later, you bought me some figs on the day before, did it? Or...
He was very aggressive, wasn't he, subhanAllah? Very aggressive, that guy.
You was very, very nice, bro. You was very nice, John.
So look, Jason, I just caught wind of you saying something on the lines of Muhammad copying something from the Gnostic Christians. So where are you going with that argument? What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying, you know, the word verisimilitude that historians use, background information. All I'm saying is that argument that the Quran is just giving the basic points about Jesus, but the Quran does make historical claims. It's making a historical claim that in Surah 4 that Jesus didn't die. It makes statements about Jesus' disciples.
But you believe he's still alive, right?
Yeah, but you think that there'd be more detail, John, detail of the flavor of the time.
But it's not, as Hamza was saying, it's not a biography.
The Gnostics have the same style as the Quran. They don't have much verisimilitude.
Not at all. Not at all.
So, and then the morality issue, you haven't answered the question, what was Paul's motive? What was his motive, Hamza?
Power.
What's that? We've not touched between two things here. We've resolved the first, because you asked two questions. You're asking about the similitude thing, and then you asked about the Paul's motive. But it feels like we've not really concluded the first one, and you're just bouncing off now to the Paul one. I think we should probably focus on.
MashaAllah. Salam
It's been a
alaikum,
long time. When are you coming back to
Ramzi,
Canada, John?
Good to
John,
see you.
it's been 4 years since I last saw you in Canada. I just got the Google memories. It brought up the photos of me bribing you with Starbucks. If you don't know, this man is addicted to a flat white. I don't know why.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Did I hear Starbucks? Did I hear Starbucks?
Well, I'm sorry.
No, this is, you know.
4 years
He
ago.
means
4 years ago.
Your selective hearing, Ramsey.
Book stars.
Books for the star.
Yeah.
Come back. Let me know when you're coming back, John. I miss your company very much.
Inshallah. It's very nice to hear from you, Ijaz. It's been a long time.
Likewise.
Inshallah.
And I'm missing my Dawah over Dunya hoodie. I have it somewhere. I was going to pull it out, Ramsey. I have it. I promise you.
Sure you are.
The thing
Sure you
is, I got too fat, so it no longer fits me. So I don't think you want me to look like a stocky penguin on the stream.
My bad. I assumed the best in you, so I got you a small size. I was assuming the best in you. You know what I'm saying?
Alhamdulillah, I appreciate it, my brother. Please continue, guys. Please continue. I have an answer to his question, by the way. I mean, it's in Paul and Jesus. But
No, look, before we do the Paul one, let's satisfy the first part first.
Okay, go ahead.
As you said, so let's satisfy the first part about similitude and stuff, and then if he wants to take that argument back and deal with the Paul, then we can do that.
And then he can come up with agnostics as well and tell me how.
No, he's going to come up with the Gnostics first.
Tell me how Warwick bin Nawfal was a Gnostic. What belief did he have that matches any historical Christian sect?
Come on, Jason.
Come on, Jason.
No,
can't beat your tongue.
The issue, the specific. What I'm on about when I'm dealing with the agnostics, I'm being specific about the word verisimilitude. Verisimilitude. Yeah, not the actual teaching. I'm on about verisimilitude. That's very similar in the sense that they're very general, the Gnostic Gospels. There's very little detail about first century Jerusalem. For example, if you study the four Gospels, they mention Jerusalem over 70 times. If you study the Gnostic Gospels, they hardly ever mention Jerusalem. So there's very little similitude.
Have you read the Gospel of Thomas? Like, quite literally. There is a book called The Fifth Gospel by the guys from the Jesus Seminar that shows that they overlap quite significantly. So I don't think you're actually accurate in what you're saying. Have you read the book The Fifth Gospel?
To be honest, I used to debate atheists, so I've read all the Gnostic Gospels, and I wrote a paper on the resurrection, and it's got a list and information there. But I have read them all.
Can you answer
and
my
I
question?
went through them all. I went through them all when I was debating atheists. Okay. And
did you read the book, The Fifth Gospel?
You know, so. But I can't remember all of them right at this moment in time. But I have read them all.
So that book examines the Gospel of Thomas alongside the four canonical Gospels in details, in subject matter, and they overlap quite significantly. And they actually point out that some people in the early church actually thought that it was authentic, maybe not from Thomas himself, but that it was a genuine gospel. So the book, The Fifth Gospel, I think you should take a look at that because it answers your question and it contradicts the claim you're making that it does not contain detail. That would be false.
If you read the Gospel of Thomas, for example, there's very little detail about Jerusalem, about Second Temple, Jerusalem, Judaism, and the culture. There are lots of quotations of Matthew.
For that, please.
There's a lot of quotations of the Gospels, the four Gospels, particularly Matthew, I think, in the Gospel of Thomas. But I'm on about the similitude, not quotations from the four Gospels.
Yeah, give me a reference that says that the Gospel of Thomas lacks geographical and background details. I'll just take. I'm giving you a counter reference.
You can read it for yourself.
I'm giving you an academic reference. The Fifth Gospel.
Well,
I'm giving you an academic reference.
Can you give us
counter evidence?
No, we're talking about primary source.
Do you have any examples of Gnostic? Do you have any examples of Gnostic writings in the Arabic language from the time of the Prophet?
There's not.
I mean, it'd be a total. I mean, if you're claiming he got it from there, we don't have nothing from that time in Arabic. We don't even have anything from about the Bible in Arabic at that time.
If I could, maybe this reminds me a lot about the debate that what's his name, Mike Licona and Bart Ehrman had years back, when essentially Mike Licona had brought up the point that the New Testament, particularly the four Gospels, mention numerous details about Roman Palestine and Rome, and certain geographical features, and certain details about the geographic location of Jesus' setting. And Bart Ehrman came along and essentially made the point that that doesn't prove its reliability. Even if a book mentions, perfectly describes the geographic location and the architecture maybe, and whatever the case, maybe the environment, the setting very well, that's neither here nor there. That doesn't prove or disprove the reliability of the text.
Well, my argument was about, if you remember, my point, my question is about verisimilitude. I'm not arguing about the veracity of the Quran or the veracity of the New Testament. I'm just inquiring why isn't there any detail in the Quran, or not much detail? You've answered that. I don't think it's an adequate answer. On the reliability of the New Testament and Bart Ehrman, I'm happy to engage in that, but that's a different issue about the veracity of the New Testament.
I mean, Jason, this is one of those like how about this? I didn't author the Qur'an, so how about this? You can ask the author on the Day of Judgment. You can leave us a note in the suggestion box and say next time talk about Palestine or talk about ancient Judaism, or I don't know, whatever complaints you have, you can leave them for God Almighty. We're just here giving you the message. If you don't like it, okay. I mean, you don't complain to us. We didn't write the message. We're just the message, not the messenger. But you know what I'm saying? We're just messengers of the message.
I'm not complaining. It's an honest question concerning looking at the Gnostic Gospels, looking at the Quran, and just a setting about verisimilitude. It was just a question about verisimilitude.
I understand,
and you've answered it, and I appreciate the answer, and I thank you for that. Could we go on to Paul?
Let me just correct myself. The name of the book is The Five Gospels. What Did Jesus Really Say? The Search for the Authentic Words of Jesus by Robert Funk. Just to be clear, so I get the name of the book correct. Did everyone understand the correction I made? Yeah?
No.
Sorry,
can I recommend a book? Can You Trust the Gospels by Peter Williams? He goes into the issue of verisimilitude. Can You Trust the Gospels by Peter Williams?
Why does that matter though? I answered your question, right?
Because did Jesus live in the first century? Did he walk in the first century? Did he talk to the Pharisees? Did he engage himself in Jewish culture? So you would think that if the Quran is making any statement, it would at least have a smattering, a flavor of the Jewish culture of that time. You're saying it's not relevant? I hear that.
Hamza, can you just raise the voice on my microphone, please?
There's a similar objection.
Do you think Jesus was a Pharisee?
I've got your full blast. Yeah, that's the thing. Jesus, I think Jesus was a Pharisee.
Refuting the Pharisees.
I think he was a Pharisee.
Why?
Because his teachings were all Pharisaic.
You mean the biblical Jesus or the real Jesus?
No, the New Testament Jesus. His teachings are all Pharisaic.
Well, that would make sense.
And then when you read the New Testament, if you're using that as your basis of information about Jesus in that time, you see Pharisees warning him. You see Pharisees petitioning for the release of his companions. There's nothing in the New Testament that indicates that Jesus was teaching against Pharisaic teachings or the Pharisees had a problem with him. There's nothing. There's no reason. Sorry, that's the wrong thing. There's no reason. Nothing he does goes against Pharisaic teachings. Nothing.
I just want to say I really appreciate that we're having a dialogue and engaging. I really appreciate that. Thank you. What about Paul's motive?
Yeah, usually we don't give you the time of day, do we?
Yeah. See, when it comes to Paul now, Paul wasn't a Pharisee.
But what was Paul's motive? Why did he say and do what he did? What was his motive? Was he after sex? Was he after money? Was he after power? What was his motive?
I mean, look, I'm just spitballing here, but I mean, I can think of many motives as to why someone would say God's law is kind of not needed anymore and we don't have to follow it.
No, he wanted to be a leader of some churches or for whatever reason. He wanted some kind of power, some kind of position, which he never had.
I mean, I can find.
So in 2 Corinthians 11, I think it is, and 12 and 13, he talks about the suffering that he goes through, is being whipped and things. You don't think he suffered or anything? You don't think he was beat up?
Beat up by
Because
who?
why would he allow himself to be beat up for a lie or deception?
Because basically Paul is, you can see it in his letters that he's jealous of other people writing, saying you should be listening to me. Why are you listening to them?
You see,
you can see what he's doing.
one thing I'll say, Jason, is, as you know, there were many writings around at that time. There was, at this time, the Bible had not been compiled, right? Yeah. Especially the New Testament, even the Old Testament, it had not been compiled at that time. So there were many different writings available at that time. All the different stray sects, all the heretical groups, which the likes of Bart Ehrman and everyone else speaks about, which you don't accept, they were around at that time. And Paul did his writing the same way all them other heretical groups did. And it just so happened that the group of Christians ended up taking that flavor of Christianity, which ended up becoming adopted by the Roman Empire, and then they searched for the text afterwards. You see, the thing with Christianity, it starts with its Aqidah and then formed its text afterwards. So they're like, okay, we need some text to back this up. We need some scripture. So let's use Paul, let's use Tom, Dick, and Harry, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, put them all together and find it and actually compile a text that agrees with our Aqidah that we made up. So Paul at the time was not imagining I'm going to be at the forefront of this victorious sect 2,000 years down the line and the most important person in the New Testament. He wasn't writing like that. He was writing what he personally believed. All the other stray sects were writing what they believed. It just so happened to be that the Roman Empire took the turn of believing in what Paul believes, and they chose his document to actually be in that scripture. Let's not pretend that the Bible existed, before the and it was compiled before the Aqidah. The Aqidah came first, and they chose what they want in their book, and they didn't choose the books that go against their Aqidah. All them heretical groups, them so-called heretical groups, you don't agree with, the ones which are spoken about in the Talmud that believe that Jesus came with a new book which abrogates the Torah. Okay, that not that sect, what's mentioned in the Talmud, or another sect which is mentioned by Bishop Eusebius, which also says Jesus. There was a group that believed Jesus received an Injil, or a book from God. Not them Christians, but it was the ones that believed in the Aqidah of the time. So, you're putting Paul on this pedestal. Go back to Jesus. Go back to what Jesus worshipped. Jesus prayed to God. Stop being dumb. Worship the God that Jesus prayed to. It's simple.
Okay, can I say something in reply now?
Just quickly, Jason, to answer your question, because you did ask it to be
Okay.
fair. Hamza, could you just share my screen that I put up there? Right. It's very important to understand one thing about Paul, right? When he was confronted with different people in his own time, choosing other leaders, what was his message to them? This is in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 12 to 15. Now, I mean this, that each of you is saying, I am with Paul, or I am with Apollos, or I am with Cephas, or I am with Christ. Is Christ divided? Paul wasn't crucified for you, was he? Or were you in fact baptized in the name of Paul? No. I thank God that I did not baptize any of you except Crispus and Gaius, so that no one can say that you were baptized in my name. So when push came to shove, and people were saying we are of this sect or of that sect, he said, no, we're actually of one body. So Paul isn't special in this case. He's saying, go with Cephas, go with Apollos, it's fine. But then came the problem that he later wrote about, if I scroll down. It's in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15. As a result of his message, what happened? It says verbatim, you know that everyone in the province of Asia deserted me, including Phygelus and Hermogenes. So even at the end of his life, people had deserted him. So to say that he was special or unique or distinctive doesn't really flow with what he himself has stated. You come to that conclusion now after the epistles had been gathered, like Hamza's son had mentioned, right? That comes later, that comes after. There's a period of that development. I think Michael Bird even mentions and agrees with that. That's why I will conclude with this. Your question is answered in the book James and Paul by James Daniel Tabor, where he simply points out that Paul was trying to find a way to allow Judaism to survive in a Greco-Roman world. He opened the door to Jew and Gentile to make it easy for the faith to survive. And I think that argument is convincing. He was sincere in what he believed, but he was wrong. And that can apply to many people today, much like yourself, Jason.
Okay, I appreciate the scholarly thought that you said, Ijaz, and the historical background about the canon, John. But if you look at like false prophets, like just take Joseph Smith, for example, just an example. He told his guys to go from America to Preston in UK. When they went to Preston, he knocked on the door of the wives of his guys and said, God's told me that you're to marry me, and he had sex with them. So that false prophet had a motive for being for being a prophet, which was sex. When you look at Paul,
are you a prophet, Jason?
No, can I just
Jason, answer the question. Listen. Do you believe you are a prophet?
Can I just finish my point, please? Because I listened to both of you, please.
Okay, just quickly, Jason. Do you believe that you're a prophet?
I'm not a prophet, no.
Okay. But do you have prophets in your church who are alive today?
Can I finish?
Just answer the question. Do you have prophets in your church?
No, I'm a Calvinist. I'm Reformed. We don't believe that prophets are propheted.
Okay, no problem.
So what I'm saying is, I'm Reformed. I'm a Calvinist. Yeah.
Did you choose to be a Calvinist?
Can I finish my point, guys? I listened to Ijaz and John with greatest respect, and it was interesting and informative what they said. But I'm just saying that false prophets often have deeper motives: sex, money, and power. Paul in Philippians said, "For me to live is Christ." He was always talking about Christ. He was living for Christ. He suffered for Christ. You don't see him banging, having sex, boom, boom, boom. You don't see him taking loads of money and being rich. And power, what power? He submitted himself to the other apostles. So those three motives, sex, money, and power.
Why was he going to Damascus?
A lot of false prophets have. He didn't have that. He just said, "For me to live is Christ, to die is gain." Philippians. So that's my point, guys, and I appreciate what you said.
Everything John said to you.
And me.
John, no, before you, Jazz. John explained to you.
I'm just giving a counterfactual argument. I'm giving a different argument.
But what John is saying, what John said to you was that Paul was just giving his flavor. He wasn't claiming to be a prophet. He was just giving his version of Christianity.
But he was called an apostle, yeah?
Who by?
He was called an apostle.
Who called him an apostle?
And if you read the Quran, I don't know if it's in the Quran, but it's in the Hadith. Muhammad was called an apostle.
Who calls Paul an apostle?
But he was.
Jason,
but you can reduce it to, guys. We're descending into.
Jason,
we had a lovely conversation.
No. I'm not interested in your lovely conversation. You said he was called an apostle. By who? By who?
It was accepted by Peter in Galatians.
Who called Paul an apostle? Who called him apostle?
He was accepted.
You said he was called an apostle. You said he was called an apostle. So either take it back that you're wrong, or tell us who called him he's an apostle.
No,
so you're Calvinist. One minute.
We both know it's the mirror who told him he was an apostle. We both know this. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was the mirror that told him he was an apostle. He declared himself an apostle. No one called him an apostle.
No, but he was accepted as an apostle in this.
You're a Calvinist.
Yes.
Yeah, and you believe this prophet. You believe it's prophets after Jesus. Yes.
There were prophets in the time of the New Testament.
But after the Bible, there's no prophets.
Because we believe in sola scriptura. There's Bible alone. We don't believe that there are prophets today. That's an extra revelation.
Okay, so when did the prophethood stop? At Jesus or at Paul?
No, there were prophets. There were in the New Testament, when the canon of Scripture was given, which was in the 1st century. That's when the prophets stopped. When we had the canon, not the canon in 300 AD. When the scriptures were given. Okay,
so what's the name of your final prophet?
The final prophet, according to you, the seal of the prophets is a.
No, we're asking you. So tell us what we believe, and we're asking what you believe.
I don't understand your question, John. I'm trying to understand what you're trying to get at.
Let me break it down. Who's the final prophet for Jason Burns?
The main final prophet is Jesus. He was the final.
Who is the final after Jesus? You said there's still prophets after Jesus. Why did it stop? And who is the last one?
There were those in the book of Acts. There were prophets there, and then I can't remember. But after that, after the New Testament, then there's no more prophets.
After the New Testament.
So who said that? Jesus.
No, the Scripture is the final authority, not the prophet.
This is a joke. You're pulling my leg.
It's not a joke. It's a ad hominem now. My main question was about verisimilitude and Paul, and you've answered that, guys. Going on to the prophets and all this is going away from what we were talking about.
No. It's questioning your position, mate.
I think you need reforming again.
My position is
Can I ask you a question
reform.
as a Calvinist? Can I ask you a question as a Calvinist? Can I choose to be a Christian?
Can you choose to be a Christian?
Yeah.
Ephesians chapter 1.
No, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in your Calvinism, mate. I'm interested in Calvinism.
I'm going to give you Calvinism.
Yeah, give me Calvinism. Can I choose to be a Christian?
I'm going to give it to you now.
Go on then.
Just give me a second.
I can tell you the answer.
It says Ephesians 1:4.
The answer is no.
Ephesians 1:4. According as he has chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy without blame before him in love. So we believe in election before the beginning of time. The Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Wait a minute. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit had a plan of salvation. And so before the beginning, can I finish?
That's my question. No, I'm not interested.
So Jason
I'm asking
starts
a
with
simple
his
question. Can I choose to be a Christian?
Let me finish.
Can I choose to be a Christian? No, I'm not. I don't need to explain your answer. I want your answer. Can I choose to be a Christian?
No, it has to be based on exegesis, not eisegesis.
I'm not interested in your reasons behind your answer. I'm not interested in the reasons behind your answer. I just want to hear your answer.
It's clear.
Can I choose to be a Christian?
Before the beginning of time.
Jason, can I choose to be a Christian? No. Can I choose to be a Christian, Jason? No. Can I choose to be a Christian?
No, you have to have the Holy Spirit.
Jason, answer my question,
open your
mate.
eyes.
Answer my question, mate. Can I choose to be a Christian according to Calvinism?
Ephesians 1:4. We are elected before the beginning of time.
Answer the question.
Is it a yes or no?
Even in Islam, you have talked about
Can I choose to be a Christian?
It's God that chooses you first.
Can I choose to be a Christian?
Yes or no? Yes or no, Jason?
The answer is no, because God chooses you first, and then when you've been drawn by Him, then you believe.
So I can't choose to be a Christian.
Only by the Holy Spirit, when the Holy Spirit opens your eyes.
God doesn't choose it, so God has to choose me to be a Christian.
I've just read to you Ephesians 1:4.
Does God have to choose me to be a Christian?
God chose His elect before the beginning of time.
Right. If God doesn't choose me, if God doesn't choose me, what happens to me?
Now you're talking about the doctrine of reprobation.
What happens to me?
And if you look at, but in Islam, in the Golden Age, you had talked about.
As a Calvinist,
you had.
I'm asking you as a Calvinist, if God doesn't choose me to be a Christian, I'm not elected. Can I still go to heaven?
But you don't understand the doctrine of election.
Can I still go to heaven or not? Can I still go to heaven or not?
You're not listening.
Jason, I'm asking a simple question. You're a Calvinist. Based upon the principle of election, if I'm not chosen by God, to be a Christian, I'm not just a Christian, your version of Christianity, if God doesn't choose me for this, can I go to heaven?
Let's look at Judas.
See you, mate. Oof. Not going to answer direct questions. You don't stay. Simple as that, mate.
Never change, Jason. Never change.
Honestly. Did you see the one when he froze? You know, like this. And we're like, is he frozen? And then Sharif goes, his curtains are moving. Behind him.
Wait, was that today? I didn't see that.
No. It was a while. He's like this. He's talking. He was. I asked him a question. He went. I'm like, is he frozen? And then she's no. Look, his curtains are going like this. Oh, that was so funny. But listen, it's very, very simple. Sorry, this is the arena. Yeah, you don't come on here and waffle. Yeah, if you ask the question, answer the question. Then you can justify your answer. So if I say, for example, can I choose to be a Christian? His answer should be, well, not really. No, you can't, because you have to be chosen by God to be a Christian according to what I believe as a Calvinist. That's what he should have said. No, don't give me the justification before your answer. Give me your answer, then you can justify it with whatever nonsense you wish to justify it with. Quoting Ephesians like it means anything.
So it's been like 2 years that you've told him this, and he still doesn't understand the principle. Give the answer, then the explanation. It's not hard.
It's not hard.
Everyone else understands it.
I just wanted to ask you, Jazz, what is this? The Calvinists, they believe that after Jesus is prophets, but they don't believe there's prophets today.
So in Calvinism, there were prophets in the time of the apostles, but they are no longer prophets today, if I'm not mistaken. They believe the period of prophecy has come to an end.
I believe James White is also a Calvinist, from what I remember correctly.
And where did he get that from?
Yeah. You know the funny thing about James White? He had a debate with Zacchaeus, right? And then he said at the end...
I remember the video you spoke to. I remember.
I'll pray for you. And then when Isaac, I said, why did you say you pray for him? You don't believe he can choose to be a Christian, mate.
That's a good one.
And he said, well, it's just a figure of speech. He actually admitted he's not going to pray for him because he knows it's pointless. It's just because he's not been elected. It's like, this is Calvinism. This is like what? So God chose a select people, right? You guys are going to be Calvinists. Everyone else is going to hell.
Yeah, pretty much.
Seriously, that's it. If you're not chosen, you can't choose. Like,
but that's the thing. Here's the thing. They preach to us with the impression that we can choose to convert to Christianity. But if we're totally unredeemable, we don't have a choice whatsoever. So preaching to us is irrelevant.
Look, Jason's been through
leave us be. If we're doomed, then leave us be.
You know, he's been through all the different sects of Christianity.
Really?
Yeah, he was. I've known him for years, like 15 years, because I used to give Dawah on the same street as he did. I used to have my Dawah table on Market Street in Manchester. He had his on the other side, and every week he'd come down and give me a Bible bash, and we'd have a back and forth. But he was always a nice guy. He's never nasty. But he seemed interested at one point in Islam, and then all of a sudden he got into the evangelical Christianity, and now he's a Calvinist. So I don't know what's going on.
I don't believe he'll persist in his Calvinism. I mean,
no.
Long story short, Calvinism.
May Allah guide him.
Say that again.
May Allah guide him.
I mean, let's leave it at that. Hamza, you got any other guess?
Yeah. He wants to debate me. He wants to have a moderated debate with me on the reliability of the New Testament.
To be honest, I wouldn't. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but
even if it's reliable, that doesn't mean it's truthful. I mean, end of the day.
But even that. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said earlier to somebody.
I wouldn't grant him that, though. I wouldn't grant him it's reliable. That's
grant him it. Like,
no, I'm not going to grant him that.
No, grant him it's reliable, but it doesn't make it true.
But even I'm going to grant it's reliable.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you said. I said to someone earlier, I said, look, you could bring a verse in the New Testament where Jesus is saying he's co-equal in the Trinity and he's going to die for your sins. It would mean nothing to me. It'd be the equivalent of someone bringing their Hindu scriptures showing me Ganesh as a elephant head, or the Hanuman and the monkey army. All you're telling me is what your book says. I don't care what your book says. That's my point. Alex Peterson.
Alex Peterson.
Hello?
You're on.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
What are you eating?
I was about to ask, yeah.
Finish your dinner.
Is it me you're looking for? Yes,
Alex Peterson. Any relation to Jordan?
Alex.
Hello?
Alex.
Alex, do you hear
Alex?
us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can
we
hear
can.
you. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Flipping Jason. Once again, can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? No. Do you remember Jason used to do that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Go on, Alex. Go on, Alex.
I just had a question. Obviously, you guys get onto Christians a lot for the fact that they believe that that Jesus takes the sins of other people, and that God should just be able to forgive. Am I right in saying that that's something you sort of reject about the Christian doctrine?
So we're saying basically, no, we asked the question, why does God need to die for the sins of the world when he can just forgive?
Yeah, so it's your belief that God can just forgive, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can I read a source for you?
Are you eating?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Don't talk with your mouth full, dude.
What are you eating?
What?
Sounds like
It's
eating something.
You better not hold this in Ramadan, man. You better not do this in Ramadan.
What are you eating?
What are you eating?
It's a jam and toast.
Jam on toast?
Yeah.
Oh, that wouldn't last 30 seconds, man.
At 11 p.m. in the night.
I know, yeah. I got hungry.
Hey, man, you know what? When you're hungry, you're hungry.
Exactly.
Anyway, come on, Alex.
You want to read a hadith to us, Alex?
People eating cereal at midnight, you know.
You might have heard it before. It's let me just find it. Sorry, I should
The
have
sins of the Jews and the Christians.
That was wallahi. I was just about to say that. Allah is my witness. Subhanallah.
What's that? Say that again.
I'm pretty sure I'm betting. Okay, you can't bet, but if I could bet, I would bet that he's about to quote the hadith about the sins of Muslims being put on the Christians and Jews.
Potentially, aye.
Yeah, you got me. Yeah, so I don't need to find it, but it does sound like a similar thing where I'm not going to say innocent people, but people are having their sins replaced by the.
No.
So
your understanding of it is basically wrong.
So you can actually go on Islam Q&A. They give a pretty good answer there. It's pretty easy for you. I mean, you could have just. I mean, like the reason why I'm mentioning that is because I mean, if you had just like even gone as far as just to Google the answer, it would have. It probably would have come up. From where
I mean, if I Google anything on Islam, someone's going to have some answer, but it doesn't mean I accept it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, well, no, but you have to at least make an attempt to look at the response, or there are, you know, what Muslims have to say about this, right? So okay. I don't know if it was a Nawawi or who will exactly explain this, but basically that the punishment is for their kufr, right? And what do you call it? So it meant look. There's like 2 or 3 hadith. They're slightly different, but the one from what I'm remembering, essentially, the Muslims are forgiven of their sin. So before the Christians and Jews are even mentioned, the Muslims are forgiven, and then as a punishment, and Nawawi explains. I think it's a Nawawi. He explains that as a punishment for their kufr, the punishment is put upon the disbelieving, put upon the Christians and Jews, right? So bottom line, the Muslims, if you read the hadith itself, are forgiven before Christians and Jews are brought even into the picture. And only afterwards, though, the punishment for that sin is put upon the disbelievers. And we know that the Christians and Jews. And we know Christians and Jews end up in hellfire for what reason? For their disbelief. And so a Nawawi, again, I think it's a Nawawi, explains that the punishment is ultimately for their kufr, for their disbelief. Yeah?
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, am I right in saying that in Islam, a person who goes to hell, not everyone goes to sort of the same hell. If you live a worse life, you go to a worse punishment. Is that right? Sort of your punishment can be increased by your sins, effectively. Yeah.
Alex, what are you banging on about, man? What is your dog in this fight?
Well, the point is that you say that you don't like the doctrine of people taking the sins of others, but this hadith seems to clearly say...
No. I didn't say...
The explanation I've heard there...
Yeah, this is your problem, Alex, now. You don't listen.
I've just listened, but the explanation just doesn't...
No, you didn't. I said to you, it's not that we don't like it.
Let me get the exact wording, and
don't
then
worry about the hadith. Don't worry about the hadith.
We don't
because
need the
I'm going
exact
prior
wording.
to that now.
We know
I'm going
it.
prior to that now. Okay. I'm going to the point that you made initially, that we don't like the fact that someone had to... It's nothing to do with whether we like it or don't like it. Okay. You think we reject Christianity because, we don't like the idea of someone forgetting someone's sins forgiven? Is that why you think we don't like Christianity?
Well, that's an argument.
Well, no, we don't make... Do we make that argument?
I have the answer right here.
One second, Ramsey. One second.
Yeah,
do you think we make that argument?
I've heard people say that. I don't know if you guys
have you heard me say it?
I've listened. I've heard people say it. I don't know about
Have you
you.
heard
but
me say it?
I don't know. Probably not.
Have you heard John say it?
No.
Have you heard Jazz say it? Have you heard
The answer
Ramsey
is
say it? Have you
no.
heard you say
I've
it?
probably heard you guys mention that. Yeah.
Well, I would say this: when you come onto the arena, leave your logical fallacies at the door. Yeah, we're not interested in your straw man. Okay, you ask us what we believe. You can ask us why we reject the idea. This is one thing, but don't assume our position and then attack that position, because it's not our position. We don't dismiss Christianity because we don't like the idea of someone being forgiven sins. We don't. Simple as that. Okay, I can question why God can't just forgive sin, can't I?
Yeah.
Are you a Christian, Alex?
I'm sort of agnostic, but if I was to take like my morals from anywhere, it'd probably be the New Testament, the Christian.
Where would you take your morals from in the New Testament?
Just the general
What
principle.
morals would you take? What morals would you take?
Do to others as you'd have them do to you. Turn the other cheek, that kind of thing.
Just take a cheek.
Can I play on this?
Well, yeah. As I said, I'm not. Go on.
All right. Okay. So you know this maxim of do unto others as you would have done to yourself.
Sounds a bit unjust.
Yeah. Check this out for a problem. So you know in America you get these sort of gun crazy people that are like, I'm going to protect my land no matter what I do. If anyone comes here, I'm going to shoot them. Yeah. Now imagine this guy. He loves combat. Like he loves battle. So he leaves his windows open.
Arabic, not English.
Say again.
Not what Yusuf said, but in Arabic, not in English.
I could actually understand Yusuf when he spoke American.
Yeah, it actually suits him more than him pretending to be English.
Let me make a point. So this guy loves combat. So he leaves traps and he leaves his window open because he wants someone to try to burgle him so that he can defend his property because he loves it more than anything. Now, using that maxim, do unto others as you would have done to yourself. If he wants to goad people to try to rob him so he can defend his land and get into combat, maybe he even goes up there and he's got a gun. He's got a
That frozen face is awful, isn't it?
Jason.
There's curtains.
Can you not hear me?
We can't see you, man.
No, we can hear you, but we can't.
Your face is frozen.
Right, I'll just turn this off so that you're not distracted. So,
we're not distracted, Mr. Miyagi.
Now I'm even more distracted.
Crying out loud. Just close your eyes and use your imagination. So, yes, this guy.
Not the first time
let
you
me
said
make the
that.
bloody point. It's a good point.
Wax it off.
The wax on.
Let me make the point.
Sand the floor.
Oh, for crying out loud. Alex, are you following my point so far?
No, I get you, but to be fair, I don't think he wants that. He might want to do that, but I don't think that's what he wants other people to do to him. Do you know what I mean?
No. It's not about what he wants. But the point is because I've not finished the example. You said, do unto others as you would have done to yourself. So if this man wants people to rob him so he could defend his land, and he believed in that maxim, he could justify going and robbing other people because he thinks, do unto others as you would have done to yourself. If he is happy for this to be done to him, using your maxim, he can justify doing it to others.
It's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So what you want, the way you want other people to treat you.
Yes.
I see what you mean. No, but I mean, listen, you've sort of turned it into a trick there.
No, it's not a trick. It's not a trick.
No, that's not the spirit of it, is it? You know that's not the spirit.
No. But this is the point. No, it's not a trick. The point is
the spirit of the. Come on.
The point. 1 second. Let me make my point. The point is that the idea completely neglects problem situations where when people hear this, they think, oh, everyone must have as much empathy and compassion as me. It's not taking into consideration that when you use this maxim, that people that aren't as nice as you can take that to a bad place. That's the point. It's not about the quote unquote spirit of the law, because it's the law itself. Is it complete? Or is this something that someone that isn't as soft natured as you are, maybe they are some sort of like Viking, they love combat, they love battle. Like that maxim has problems with those type of people. That's the point. It's an example, a counterexample, where you could say this as if it's some sort of universal law. Number one, it's not obvious that it is. And number two, if you do apply it as a universal law, it can take you to dark places. And just because you don't like where it takes you, You can't just say, oh, but that goes against the spirit. No, that goes against your particular inclinations. But there's nothing about that maxim that means that the combat warrior type shouldn't be able to do as he wills to others as he would have done to himself. He wants to be able to go and try to steal from people so that he could test his mettle and see how strong he is and prove how much of a man he is to his community. So he's happy to have other people try to do that to him as well. Come on, bring it. Come to my gaff. I've got my guns ready. I'll throw them on the floor. I'll throw you a knife and we'll have some hand-to-hand combat. Like, why not? That's the point. It's that it sounds nice. It sounds nice. But if you apply it to every type of person, it starts to fall apart.
The other point I'd add is it doesn't prove that they're followers, right? You know, like for the Islamic equivalent, if you like, is that you don't truly believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. You know, so it's connected with belief. It's like the whole purpose of the ruling of getting you to treat others good is a proof of your belief. Whereas, like you say, and of course your belief comes with the whole package. Okay, you can't just, it's not just one rule. You know, you have to take the whole Qur'an and the Sunnah into perspective together when you're acted upon that belief. You know, so the Islamic version makes a lot more sense than this. Like you say, Yusuf pointed out some of the problems with that version. You know, it doesn't help you from a religious perspective. Like you could be it's like you say, it's just a philosophy.
How's that
going to help you get to paradise?
I say that maybe the wording of what you've mentioned there, John, might be better, to be fair, but the spirit of it is the same, isn't it? Like, I know Yusuf brought an example where, you know, you brought up an example that I don't think that's the sort of the spirit of what it's saying. I don't take it as that anyway. I don't think many people who read it take it as like, oh, I'm an axe murderer, and I like axe murder, so.
No, it doesn't need to go that far. It could just simply be that someone likes combat. Someone likes a fight. You doesn't have to want to kill them. You don't like, that's just an extreme to just show you how silly it can get. But you can go to less extremes and it still be problematic.
You could probably do the same thing with the brother one, though, couldn't you?
No, because we confined it to the Qur'an and the Sunnah.
Right.
So we, like, for example, we're not allowed to. We're not a Muslim if our brothers are not safe from our hands and our tongues. Yeah, so we have a lot that restricts the way we behave as a community with one another. Yeah, now, if it's, are you a Christian or an atheist, or what are you?
He says he's agnostic, but I think he's a Christian and knows we're going to rip Christianity apart. So he's hiding.
He's a Christian.
That.
Okay, well, if you're
we'll still be a Muslim. We'd just lack iman. That's what
he's a Christian. He's not an agnostic.
Okay, I don't mind. You can make those assertions about me. I don't mind.
Have you read the Bible, mate?
Yeah.
So what does God say about forgiving sin?
It depends where you look, to be fair. Yeah, I mean, there's problems with that.
No, what does God say about... No. What does
God say? There's a verse in the Old Testament. I can't remember it. Is it in Ezekiel?
What does God say? Yeah, exactly. What does God say in the Bible about forgiving sin? And how does it disagree with what I'm saying? Or what Islam teaches?
He says something like, if he repents, then it won't be brought up again, or something like that. I mean, I'm not here to defend it. So
no. So the point is this, right? So the point is moot. So you should be questioning, why do Christians believe that they have to have a redeemer when God clearly says in the Bible they don't?
Yeah, good point, mate. You calling me a Christian? It's a good point.
You're the one who's trying to scrabble in Christianity, finding.
No, I said that. I said I like the moral system of the Old New Testament better than probably any of the other.
What don't you like about Islam? Give me one teaching of Islam you don't like.
Oh, you can go to all that the classic ones that you guys would never do today, but they are supposed to be revelation.
Give me one teaching of Islam that you disagree with.
I mean, I don't think it. Okay. Let's take let's just find one, shall we?
Oh, you have to
The
Google it
question
now.
you're Googling.
You have
What are
to
you
Google
Googling?
something you don't
What, you
like.
don't know?
It's not
No,
on
no,
the
I
text.
don't want to misrepresent you. It's gonna be. I'm gonna go to there's a hadith about like capturing women.
I'm not in. Listen to me. I'm asking you a
I
simple
want to get the
question.
exact wording, so
I
I
don't
don't
want to
misrepresent
justify.
the
Listen to me. Stop doing that. I wish you bloody all of you callers stop doing this. Right? Stop giving me your justification of your answer before you give me your answer. Please stop it. You
Okay,
can
let me
tell me
try
what
and-
you can say to me. This is the teaching of Islam I don't like. And then if we say, well, that's not a teaching of Islam, then you can go scrabbling in Google. But first, answer the question: which teaching of Islam don't you like?
Okay, how about this right hand possessed one? But for me specifically,
What teaching of Islam don't you like? I'm going to ask you the last time.
I don't know how you want me to word it. Right hand possess, or what do you want me to say? The hadith where they capture women.
Okay,
And the
ask me
guys.
a teaching of Christianity I don't like.
What's the teaching in Christianity you don't like?
The idea that Jesus had to die for my sins and is co-equal in a Trinity with God. There you go.
Okay.
Ascribing
Right.
partnership with God. I don't like that. Therefore, I reject that. Okay. Tell me the teaching of Islam that you don't like.
Sex slavery.
Sex slavery. Okay. Where does Islam teach sex slavery?
Can I grab the verse?
Where does Islam teach sex slavery? First of all, define for me what sex slavery is.
Define sex slavery, yeah.
Define sex slavery, and then tell me where Islam teaches such a thing.
A person who belongs to you, firstly, I think that's the slave part covered, who you at will can have sex with, and they have no choice in the matter.
So you're saying in Islam,
No, but we don't believe
one second. You're saying in Islam, you can take someone as a slave and rape them.
I mean, let's take the rape part out if that's the part you don't like.
Having sex against their will is... Shut up.
You can
Having
own a
sex against-
person.
No,
you can
having
own a
sex
person
against
of
their will
sex.
is rape. Having sex against someone's will is rape. So you believe there's a teaching of Islam that says you can enslave women, yeah, and rape them, yeah?
Well, you tell me this.
No, I'm not telling you that. First of all, I'm not sugarcoating nothing here. I'm establishing your position. You believe in Islam there's a teaching that you can enslave women and rape them, yes?
Let's take the rape out of it.
Okay.
No, you
Okay.
don't.
Let's take the rape out of it. Okay. So you believe there's a teaching in Islam that you can take women as slaves, and if they're agreeable, have sex with them.
Yeah.
Okay, and you don't like that?
No, I don't like. Why does that need to be in there?
Okay, hold on.
So you don't like
Why does
that?
that need to be revealed?
If I could ask, wait, hold on. But Alex, hold on, just to be okay. Before we talk about what a slave is, what a slave isn't, or what we call, before we get into the word slave and its meaning and its usage and this, that, the other, and its connotation, question: if sex is had willingly between two people, regardless of their relationship, regardless of like whether it's
I need to find this hadith, because when you actually read it,
No. He's asking a very good question here. So you're not going to duck the question.
Alex,
Do you believe a man and woman can have sex whether they're married or not?
No, I was going to say, well, like, if it's consent. Look, right now,
consensual.
You took the rape out of it. Okay, you took the rape out of it. That saves us time. Good. So now, if we're talking about consensual, are you opposed to two people, regardless of who they are, regardless of like whether it's whoever they are between each other? If it's consensual, it's okay.
No.
Okay, so
one second. You're agnostic. Why not?
Yeah, I was about to say.
So is this going into where your morals?
So just to be clear, as an agnostic, you're opposed to two consenting adults having sex.
Broadly, yeah, generally, but obviously you're going to bring up the brother sister one, or brother and brother one.
No. You've just answered.
No, I'm not.
Alex, you just answered in reverse. Okay. Do you believe a man and woman can have sex if it's consensual?
Generally speaking, I'm not talking about exceptions of incest. It's just generally speaking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then what's the issue then?
Let me read the source then. Let's see whether it sounds like.
You can read the hadith.
First, we're establishing your position, mate. Okay. So let's say a guy has a maid, and the maid agrees to sleep with her master. Is that okay?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, as long as the guy's not married. I mean,
no, the guy's married. The guy's married.
The guy's right. Well, no, it's not okay. It's
Why not?
adultery.
Why not? Why not, Mr. Agnostic?
Well, I'll do it. Let's do it as an internal critique.
Why not, Mr.
Quran
Agnostic?
says adultery should be
why
punished
not?
by
No.
stoning or
Why
something.
not, Mr. Agnostic?
That's why it's not okay for. Go on.
You're agnostic. So why is it wrong for him to have sex with his maid?
He should consider the feelings of his wife. That's just something inside me. I don't have a book telling me that, but it's just something I feel inside me. You should consider them.
Alex, just to be clear, according to you, whatever the
feelings,
whatever the wife likes and doesn't like is the objective standard for morality. Dude, are you being forced to say this against your will? Like, I feel like someone's like, I feel like it.
What if the wife's agreeable? What if the wife says, "Yeah, you can have sex with me"? That's all.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right. So if the guy's married and the wife agrees he can have sex with the maid,
he is quite literally deifying women right now, saying whatever pleases the woman.
Let's go to this room.
It's the same for a woman as well.
No, so if the woman,
you're deifying the spouse. You're deifying the spouse.
One second. So if the wife is happy, Alex. So if the wife doesn't mind him having sex with the maid, yeah, is that okay?
I don't think that's the best thing for like a cohesive society.
No, if the wife doesn't mind, is that okay? Because all this hurt feelings of the wife and this is irrelevant now. Okay, is it okay?
I think we should look to put together a cohesive society.
Using his logic, if the wife never finds out, it's fine. If the wife never finds out, right? If she never finds out, it doesn't hurt her, does it? According to you, I'm not.
If the wife agrees to it.
No, by the way, guys, I'm not condoning.
You guys are sort of trying to rate my moral principle over. I've clearly got no sort of moral like.
Alex, you've admitted that your moral basis is your feelings.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But when I treat my parents, I treat my family.
Okay, Alex.
I do what I feel is right. Whereas you guys hold to this book, which tells you can basically
just chill for a sec. 1 second. Okay, here's the problem. You came in here wanting to talk about sex slavery. And then I
didn't come in here wanting to talk about sex slavery.
Hold on, man. 1 second. Okay, you brought up sex slavery. You
asked me something I don't like.
Let me finish. Okay, you brought up sex slavery for whatever reason. No problem. Okay, it doesn't matter. You brought it up, and then you seem to somewhat indicate that it was forced upon them, but then you took that back. Okay, that's fine. Good.
It does sound like that. If you let me read it.
Okay, Alex, okay, well, you conceded that it's not. So now, do you want me to disprove? I can disprove it in 10 seconds, but if there's no point in doing that if you concede it's not.
Disprove how this is not.
Okay, so first, just 1 second. Just to be clear, so now you're going back. So the argument is it is forced, and yeah, so is that the argument now? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that argument. You can make that argument.
Can I read it?
Alex, please stop avoiding
me. Let me read it.
Alex, I will let you read it, but I need to know what on earth your argument is. Are you reading it just for the fun of it, or what's your argument to prove?
Okay.
What argument are you proving?
Let's go all the way, and you disprove me if I'm wrong. It sounds like there's people who feel it within themselves because they got no morality. They don't come from the book. They don't want to have sex with these women because they're probably married and the women are married. And the women obviously don't want to have sex with him because they've just like slaughtered their family or whatever. Oh, okay. And God says, no, yes, of course, go and have sex with these women, despite the fact that you feel it in your own self.
Where does God say, have sex with these women, you've just slaughtered their family? Where does God say that?
Where does God say exactly that? He doesn't say exactly that.
Why are you saying he does?
Okay.
Well, because that's the scenario.
Why are you quoting God saying that?
Okay, look.
You don't let me read the actual reference.
Okay, Alex, let me just address your argument. Alex, let me address your argument. Okay, so first of all, in Islam, yes, you are allowed to take female and male captives in war. We don't just slaughter we don't slaughter them. There's a couple options. Look, in warfare, there are only a couple options you do with prisoners of war. Option A, you just put them all to death. That's the first option. Second option, you ransom them. Let me finish.
There you go, John.
Sorry, just quickly, guys. I'm going to have to get going.
All right. Thanks for joining, bro. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Hamza's Padawan. Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
A Padawan, by the way, is my Jedi trainee. Go on. Sorry, carry on.
Does that make me a Jedi Master? No, I'm joking. So, no, very simple. So Alex, okay. Option, whenever prisoners of war happened, in warfare, you take prisoners. That's just the nature of war. So, you have a couple. Yeah, okay, let me finish. A couple options of what to do with them. Option A, you kill them. That's one option. People do that sometimes. Option B, you ransom them for whatever reason. Option C, you take them in, You look after them, you provide for them, you do you give them a roof over their heads, you give them food on their table, you give them you look after their children, you do everything for them, and then in return, yes, Muslim men, yes, let me speak. Okay, in return, giving them free rent, free food, free healthcare, free education, quite literally, it's almost like a hotel, giving them literally everything. You just fought a war against these people, and now you're giving them a hotel to live in, essentially. And now, yes, in return, yes, it's not completely free, yes, because someone is being treated quite literally like a wife. You're being given almost all the rights of a wife. In return, you are allowed to be intimate with them, not forcibly. And how do we know it's not forcibly? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, if you slap a slave, you have to free the slave. If you can't slap a slave, I don't imagine how you can force yourself upon a slave. Okay, so is that clear? Now, by the way, you might be wondering, oh, well, what do you call it? Why take them as captives? Why do all that? I already explained that there's only a couple options of what to do with captives of war. There's only a few options, right? Those are the only options you have. If you ask me, the third option sounds like the best option. Keep in mind, these aren't just random people. These are people
what's your solution for these women, Alex? The men have just been killed in this village. And
but you can do everything.
What's your solution?
Everything you just mentioned, you could do. Whatever you
Alex, what's your solution, mate? What's your solution?
You can take them as whatever your maids or whatever, but why
so you
should
take them as your maids? Do they not have Alex, do they not have
sex with these people whose husbands are alive? Why?
So are you saying these
why
women,
not just not have sex with them?
Are you saying these women can never have sex again if they're taken?
I just explained it's consensual. I just explained that. Or if a woman chooses, to be stop 1 second. If a woman chooses to be to be intimate consensually, why do you have an issue with that?
Yeah, that's not what comes across in the hadith to me at all.
Okay, really, so
like you've gone to war with that tribe.
I guarantee the hadith he wants to read does not mention anywhere where people are being forced. He does not mention.
No, it doesn't. But it does.
Okay, beautiful. Does it mention that? Wait, stop. Does it mention people being forced?
No, but it does.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My point exactly. So it's not in there. So stop putting it.
Alex,
in there.
Would you watch a lot of porn, mate?
No, not really. I try not.
Not really. A little bit. Just a little bit.
Stop it, Hamza. Please stop.
Well, I know you were all over it before you got that bit.
Just a little bit, yeah. Just a little bit.
Okay, yeah. Look,
what is you see? Your mind's in the gutter. That's a problem, and I'm trying to.
No.
And the amazing thing is, you brought your mind out of the gutter to try and challenge Islam with it.
Well, on the plain reading, I think people know what this says.
You failed miserably, mate.
Alex, you just agreed with me. It doesn't mention people being forced. So why are you assuming that?
And he just agreed consensual sex.
You haven't even let me read it. You said you'd let me read it.
You just told me and agreed with me it doesn't mention people being forced.
You haven't let me read it.
So, okay, does it mention people being forced once again?
You have to say that explicitly for that to be implied.
It doesn't say that in any way. It doesn't say that in any way.
Okay.
Does it say that in any way, shape, or form?
Alex, have a good evening, mate.
No, it doesn't.
On you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Actually, just keep him, Hamza, if that's okay.
Go on.
Hey guys, why?
No. I want to follow this through to it. So, Alex, just to put it to you, if this question is resolved for you, what comes next?
Oh, there's other things I don't like. I'm not being funny. There's a lot of good teaching, but there are things in there I just don't like. There are things that I just don't think are true.
He's opposed to consensual adults having sex. Okay, he's become this guy's a saint. He's an agnostic saint.
Let's entertain an idea for a moment here, Alex. Okay, how much research would you say you've done into Islam compared to other religions, like say Christianity? What's the level of research? Are they comparable? Not comparable?
I know a lot more about Christianity, I would say, but I do know,
Is it because you're a Christian?
No, I was raised in that environment. Okay. But
do you presently believe that Christ Jesus is God?
No. If I go on.
Do you believe he died for your sins?
No, not really.
Okay, no, not really. It's yes or no.
Well, I don't think religion is that like clear cut, is it? You can sort of be.
I think it is.
I don't.
I think it has to be. A religion is a set of ideas and principles.
Well, if it's clear cut, then I would have to say no, because I don't believe it to any level enough to say that I am,
Okay, can you give me an example of one thing you're certain of in your life? Are you certain you exist?
Yeah,
you exist.
Yeah.
You exist. Okay. Do you believe that you're having a real conversation with us right now?
Yeah.
Do you believe that logic is something which is universal, meaning it applies to all things at all times for things that exist?
Practically, yeah. There's no reason to deny that.
Right. Would you say that the doctrine of Tawheed, do you know what that is?
Yeah, the one or the
oneness of God.
Yeah.
Is that a reasonable belief or an unreasonable belief?
Yeah, it's reasonable, but go on. Sorry, I'm not going to cut you off.
No.
Yeah, it's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. Forget the practices. Those are on aside. I'm just speaking about Tawheed itself. Do you find that Tawheed is sensible, reasonable, meaningful?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Compared to, let's say, Christianity.
I would say that it's simpler to understand, but it doesn't necessarily make it more likely to be correct. I don't think.
No, not simpler. Would you say it's more reasonable than what Trinitarians believe?
Let's say yes for argument for COM.
Not for argument's sake. I want your genuine answer.
Well, the thing is, we can't understand the nature of God. Even you guys, even though you say there's one God, but you still don't fully understand the nature, do you? So if God's got
we need. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. No one is making the claim here that we have to understand God fully, but God should describe himself to a level that we can understand him. Every Muslim here will tell you we understand God in a level which is meaningful and reasonable to us. We can at least understand who he is as he describes himself. He is Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, he is Al-Awwal. These are words with meanings, definite, clear meanings we understand. As an example, Hamza, do you believe that Allah is Ar-Rahman?
Yes.
Is that a clear teaching and belief?
Yes.
Right, so you can understand the identity of God. But no one is saying here that we need to understand all of God, just the basics. So would you say the foundation for God in Islam is more reasonable than the faiths that you've studied? It's a yes or a no question.
It's clearer. It's definitely clearer, yeah.
Reasonable, not clearer, reasonable.
It's more reasonable that God would reveal a clear nature, yeah. But I'm not going to say that.
No, but you accept it. I don't know why you're resistant to say it.
I know. All my point is, I accept 100% that the doctrine of the nature of the oneness of God is clear in Islam, and in Christianity it's quite blurred. You can take different, as Unitarian, Trinitarian, this and that. But it's not to say that it's more reasonable to say that the creator of the universe is one instead of three persons. I don't understand why that's necessarily more reasonable.
Okay, perfect. Well, this is what I'm going to say, that you don't understand reason then. Reason means things which the mind can understand. So this is what we call logic. And it's logical, if you heard the earlier conversation, that there is one penultimate creator and power and authority in the universe, then there are more than one of him. Right? This is the law of the excluded middle, the law of non-contradiction working together. You can't have two entities that are co-eternal and co-powerful at the same level with each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. So then Islam would be more reasonable in this case than the Christian notion that there were three persons. Some people say with their own wills, some people say with one will. Right? They're unclear about that. For Islam, we believe Allah has a will. He has an irada. We accept this. We believe this. So it is reasonable. It does not violate the law of non-contradiction. Whereas believing that God is three persons with three minds, that is unreasonable. Because they compete with each other. Who has the ultimate authority? Doesn't make sense. It's thus less appealing. Right? And the Christians, in order to answer this question, they had to come up with something called monarchical Trinitarianism, where the Father is the ultimate God. At that point, just accept Islam. If you're going to go through all those hoops, just accept Islam at that point. So I put the question back to you based on what I've just said, using the laws of logic. Is Islam more reasonable in its articulation and expression of the identity of God than that of Christianity's?
Okay, yeah.
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 Cool. Just say it. Yes. Let me hear the answer. And if it isn't, you have to tell me. And I'll give you an example here, right? If God is all-knowing and he creates us out of his mercy and he wants us to know him and he gives us revelation, then he would give us a revelation
I
that
agree
we
with
can understand, right? So how does Allah do that for us? He gives us one chapter in the Quran, 4 lines that a child to an adult can recite, and it perfectly describes for us who God is. Do you know that chapter?
Yeah, on the nature of God, if he was to reveal something, I agree that it should be that it's simple to at least understand his nature, but it doesn't follow on that everything that's revealed.
I agree, but I agree with you, but I'm saying to you, at least get the foundation right. First God, then everything else. So if the expression of God is reasonable, understandable, meaningful, then we can go to the other parts. But this is the foundation for every Muslim, who Allah is and why we worship him. Everything else we can discuss after. So if you can agree that this description of God is more reasonable, what comes next for you, Alex? What is the next thing that holds you back? What is the next question at the back of your mind?
Well, I guess after that, you got to examine what's revealed, supposedly. And I just like looking at it, although I see, the teachers in there, which you'd say, yeah, that's good, and that seems ahead of its time. It doesn't look like it's revealed by an almighty God to me, anyway. I mean, you guys obviously have a different opinion, but...
Well, I'll say this, right? Have you read the Qur'an, Alex?
I haven't read it like back to front, but I've sort of,
So I'll give you just one chapter. It's chapter 112. I'm going to put the link in the back chat, okay? I'm just going to send it to you. And here's what I'm going to say to you. Remember how I said that God would want us to know him, understand him, make sense of him? We say that Allah revealed a surah, a chapter so simple that anyone has the capacity to understand it. In that case, it would mean, right, that God would have had to reveal this chapter. This chapter says more than I would argue the entire Bible does about God. I'm just going to put the chapter back there for you. It's only like 20, 21 words maximum. But it answers almost every question we can have about God. So you have the ability to use Google, as you mentioned earlier. Look up the Muslim commentaries of this chapter. Entire encyclopedias, tomes have been written on these 4 lines. Right? And this is why we say it's a miracle. Because it's not just 4 lines. It's 4 lines with purpose, meaning, and benefit. And that's why I would leave the conversation, to be honest with you.
All right. Yeah, I'll read it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, Alex. Hamza, Ramsey?
Take care, Alex.
Take care.
Very nice.
Who changed our names? Why did you drop Ramsey?
I changed them all back. I just kicked Ramsey.
That's like anti-Palestinian.
And it took him with it. Yeah, no, that was nicely done, Jazz. It was good because I was like, I like to deal with their points head on with regards to sex slavery when they bring it up. But mashallah, it was nicely what you did as well, mashallah. Because we have to remember one thing with these arenas: it's not always about the person we're speaking to. There's other people who are watching around the world who are like, oh, that actually does make sense. Do you get me? So it's them we're appealing to. Where did Ramsey go? Did I kicked him accidentally?
I think you kicked him, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, because I kicked his link and he went with it. Anyway.
But does that mean he can't join again?
No, you can join. You should be able to join. I don't know what
Ramsey,
happened.
come back.
Come
But
back,
but I'm a bit worried, Hamza, that you're British and you just kicked a Palestinian. I mean, I know you're all about the heritage thing,
I
but
know.
it doesn't look good.
I look like a Labour supporter, don't I? 1 second.
Damn it, Keir
You're
Starmer.
going to enjoy this guy. This guy is gonna drive you bananas.
He's been writing in the chat quite a lot. Like,
Honestly.
Popke, are you an author?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Popke.
Yep, how you guys? You guys all right?
Terrible, to be honest. I mean,
Oh,
but,
why? What's wrong with it?
well, I'm live streaming.
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I have to
fair
hear your
enough.
drivel all over again.
Aye, Popke, what are you on about?
Oh, I just came across your guys' channel recently, and was just sort of wondered why you guys think atheism is absurd, and I wasn't given any reason. Just he claimed that it was absurd.
Stop
and
lying.
He didn't give me any arguments.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
And then he made a straw.
Okay.
He made, he made,
1 second. 1 second. Don't talk crap. You tried to argue.
let me talk. He made a straw man of
You tried
atheism.
to argue.
And
No,
he
I'm not going
said-
to straw man you. I'm going to repeat what you said in the warm up. So don't act like you didn't say this. You came up with the same nonsense, right? And I told you, you made the claim, that
Yeah.
the universe is necessary.
I never said
And-
it's necessary. I said the
Yes, you did.
initial
You
state-
said it was.
initial state.
You said in its initial
Initial-
form. Okay, this is what you said. In its initial form, it was necessary. And when I asked you why you believe that, you said
Yeah.
necessary things don't need an explanation.
Yeah, that's
Is that what you
correct.
said?
Yeah.
So am I straw manning you, or am I quoting you verbatim?
But that's not nonsense. That's a fact. Necessary facts don't require explanation.
I would agree that I would agree that statement is nonsense, but you know.
Yusuf, come back, son. This is for you.
Hello. Okay.
So you
So
heard what he
just-
said, yeah?
No, I didn't. Oh,
So he's
what did he-
basically saying that before the universe big banged, its initial state, that state was a necessary existence.
Why?
What?
And when you ask him why, he says necessary things don't require an explanation. So
That's not how
Yeah,
it.
dude.
No, that's not what we're asking.
so
Why that thing?
I'm going to let you go, Yusuf. Go.
Okay. So we're asking why that thing is the necessary existence. We're not asking for an explanation. It's just what makes you think that is.
Okay. Because its properties allows it to be necessary.
All right. What properties are these?
Well,
What is it you're saying is necessary? By the way, the
big
Initial-
the singularity before the big
the
bang.
initial state.
But what is that though? What is the singular? Because the singularity isn't a thing. The singularity is pointing out that there's something beyond our comprehension before that. So for example, if there's another singularity coming up, like a technological singularity.
Yep.
With what we're saying when we mention this is that like technological advancements could get to a point where we can't even comprehend what's going to happen after the singularity. Pointing out that there is a singularity is to talk about a horizon beyond which we cannot see. So you're mentioning the singularity as being the necessary being. Number one, misunderstands what a singularity is. And number two, doesn't rule out God.
Yes, it does, because I said that's what that exists, that initial state of reality.
What is that? You're talking in very vague terms that can encompass a God.
No, it doesn't. Initial
Can the
state.
universe be God then if it's necessary?
No, I don't believe in Spinoza.
What are the properties of the universe that you think make it necessary?
No. He's not saying the universe is God. He's saying there is a singularity.
No, I get that, but if he's saying that the universe is necessary, I want
No,
to
he's
know
not.
what
He's not
those
saying that. He's not. No. He's not saying that.
Is he saying necessary things can change? Do you believe necessary things can change, Pop?
No.
No, one sec. Don't.
They can't change.
Let me focus.
No, they can't change.
Right. Wait, one sec.
I'm not following his point then.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get into to clarify, because he's making a vague statement as if it sort of negates the concept of God. So you've got this singularity, yeah? And
Yeah.
after the singularity, everything comes into existence.
Yep. And then
you said you don't
that's why
believe in Spinoza's God, so that you're not
No, I don't.
saying that the universe is the necessary thing. You're saying there is a
Yeah.
distinct thing from the universe which is necessary.
Yep, the initial state.
Right? The initial state. What do you
Yeah.
mean? Is the initial state the universe, or is the initial state the state that the universe was in before the singularity?
So, basically, before time equals 0. That's the initial state.
But there is no before time equals 0. That's the
I'm
whole
just
point
talking.
of time equals
I'm
0.
talking t equals 0. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That.
So at
Whatever
t
that was.
equals 0,
Yeah.
the universe as the universe was at t equals 0, are you saying
Yeah.
t equals 0, that is the universe?
No, I'm saying that's the initial state.
Right.
Of the universe?
So at t equals 0, you've got the quote unquote initial state. And then
Yeah.
at t equals 1, you've got the initial state plus the universe, or does the initial state
No.
cease to be, and then
Yeah.
you now have a new thing, which
Yeah,
is the universe?
the universe begins to exist, and then you have many sort of different ways the world could have been.
No, don't worry about that.
But,
Not on about possibilities. I just want you to
okay.
clarify your position as to
Yeah.
what is this thing at t equals 0. Is it that t equals 0, you've got a thing, which you're calling the initial state, and then at t equals 1, you've got this thing plus another thing, that is the universe? Or are you saying the thing that was at t equals 0, when it gets to t equals 1, does t equals 0 become t equals 1? Or is there now two things that are distinct?
No, there's only one. So the initial state causes t equals 1.
Yeah, but does the initial state continue to exist?
Does the initial state continue to exist? Oh, okay, I get what you mean now. Does it? I can't give an answer on that.
Well, you have to give an answer.
No, you have to, because the thing is there's two ways this can go about. Either you're talking about the initial state as if it is a set of conditions, and then at t equals 1, the universe comes about because of this. Yeah. Which is to say that the initial state transforms into the universe, which is a Spinozan kind of thing. You've got this thing that has changed into the universe. But you said before that the necessary thing, quote unquote, as you're putting it, can't change. So if it can't change and the universe comes about after t equals 0, then it necessitates, from what you're saying, there are two things. There's the necessary thing, and then there's creation.
Yep. But as I said, I can't give a definite answer onto whether that necessary thing it still exists.
Okay. No, but if it's necessary, then it has to exist, bro. If it doesn't exist now, it's not necessary, is it? The whole point of a necessary thing is its non-existence is impossible. But otherwise, it's not a necessary thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you know. I think, right, I'm going to be honest. If that little point has gone over your head already, and that you've made that little slip where you're like, I don't know if the necessary, like you don't know what you're. How long have you been looking into this subject?
Since I started college. So
how old are you, Pop?
16.
Oh, bloody hell! Right,
for God's sake.
You sound British Asian. Am I correct?
You started college at 16. Is that what you guys do? Is that what you guys do?
College isn't, one sec. College isn't university. In the UK, we have high school education finishes at 16, and then college education is the A levels. It's like pre-university. That's from 16 to 18, and then you'll go to university with your A levels at the age of 18. So, what I'm going to suggest, Pop, what your little philosophy is at the moment, it just sounds a bit confused. Yeah, it doesn't necessitate atheism. What you're saying is that there is a thing that's necessary, that's distinct from the universe. Yeah, this is what we say. There's an entity which is eternal. Its non-existence is impossible. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's always been, it always will be. Yeah? And that it is the source of all power. Everything that exists now is dependent upon it.
Okay.
Yeah? All of these things are compatible with theism. You're just describing certain attributes that we don't give to Allah, that Allah has revealed are of Himself. Yeah, we say Allah is the ever living. He always has. He always will be. We say He is the self-subsisting, the independent. Nothing. No, He doesn't depend upon anything for His existence. He exists necessarily. Yeah. Everything that comes into existence depends upon Him.
Okay.
Yeah. What you said so far is not incompatible with that.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's naturalistic, not supernatural.
Right. What do you mean by natural?
So natural, I think there's a clear distinction. Naturals are quarks, electrons, protons, and so on, and supernatural is something
It's
that's
not that.
non-natural.
Okay. So by your own definition, so I'm going to pull up. Hamza, can you pull? I'm going to send you a link, or can you Google it because it'll make it easier because I'm on my phone. Can you Google CERN, the early state of the universe? And can you bring that article
Yusuf,
up?
do you not think 16 is too young, bro?
Honestly, it's just to give him something to think about and food
I
for thought.
always thought 18 was like the cutoff age for your Hamza. No,
it is. 16 is
Okay, let me give him this article to read and then to go away because there's a point here that I just want to conclude on, and then we can wrap up. But if you want, read this article. So you just said natural is linked to the basic fundamental building blocks of the universe, and you mentioned quarks, and you mentioned so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Search CERN, the early state of the universe. I'll try it. Let's see who can beat me to it. CERN, the early state of the universe.
you know, Yusuf, I was just gonna have him read the Divine Reality and just move on.
No, because this is just a simple point, and then he can read the Divine Reality as well.
You need to read a book about nihilism. Do you know any books about nihilism, Yusuf?
The Divine Reality, from what I know, does address nihilism, to an extent, at least, from what I remember.
No, Yusuf knows a really good book about nihilism. What's it called, mate?
That. I'm going to put a link in the back chat, and can you then bring this link up? Right. So you said, that natural things are made up of quarks. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think that's the definition of natural.
Okay, right. So if the thing that gave rise to the universe isn't made up of quarks, then it's not natural by your definition. Correct?
No, because I believe it was naturalistic.
No, but you just made a definition of natural things are things made up of quarks.
Yeah.
Right. So if the thing that began the universe, that is responsible for the universe, isn't made up of quarks, the quarks, if quarks, for example, have a beginning.
Wait, quacks like what ducks do, or quarks?
No, quarks, whatever you want to say.
I'm giving you a hard time.
Right, zoom in, go down to the origins.
Yeah.
Right, so read this. In the first moments after the Big Bang. One second. Let me make a point, and then you can say what you need to say. In the first moments after the Big Bang, the universe was extremely hot and dense. As the universe cooled, conditions became just right to give rise to the building blocks of matter, the quarks and electrons of which we are all made. So quarks are not fundamental to the universe. The Big Bang happened, the cooling occurred, and then the conditions became right for quarks to come into existence. So the necessary existence isn't quarks. It's got nothing to do with it. So whatever the necessary existence is, by your own definition, it would be supernatural.
No, it wouldn't. It's still naturalistic.
No, because you just said what natural is things made up of quarks, etc.
So
Yeah,
do you accept quarks?
I get what
1
you
second,
mean.
pop. Just 1 second. Do you accept quarks are not necessary?
Are not necessary.
Mm.
I don't believe. Yes, I don't believe they're necessary.
They're not necessary.
No.
Okay, so then the necessary thing is supernatural. By your own definition. I asked you what natural was, and you said it's natural if it's made up of quarks and things like that. Things made up of quarks. Did you not say that? You said.
Listen, I don't want to bully a 16-year-old, but Pop.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to get.
No, not saying that. I'm bullying him. But Pop, did you know that information that you've just heard or not? Pop.
Maybe he's not gone. I don't know. But
Hello?
Pop, go on.
Did you know? Was you aware of that information that you've just been taught?
Was I aware?
Was you aware that quarks haven't always existed?
Yes, I know that, but I'm saying the initial.
You're aware of that. You were aware of that.
Yes, I am aware. Those are natural.
Right. So what was this universe made of? What was this universe made of? This necessary thing.
This necessary thing. I said
yeah,
it has
what was it made
properties.
of? What was this universe made of? Yes.
Yeah, it has natural properties that gave
what
rise to those.
What are these properties?
What are these properties?
Yeah, because quarks came into existence after the transition. What was it made of before that?
What was it made of? I said I already said I can't give a definite answer because we can't.
Right, so then, but this is the thing.
Back.
How is it? How can if you can't?
We can't look that far back. We can't look that far back.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly. So what we can say.
You can't look past the plankton.
Okay, 1 second. But then, how can you be sure that it's naturalistic? Because you're saying that with certainty. You're saying no, it is. And your definition of natural, when I asked you, was related to quarks. But quarks have a beginning, so it follows that like this thing is not quote unquote natural by your own definition. You can't just once you've made a definition of natural, and I've shown you that the early state or whatever it is that you want to call it that gave rise to everything is not made up of the things that you said are necessary for it to be called natural, then by your standard, this is not natural, i.e. it is supernatural. Now, if you can't tell me, because you even said, that this thing it has certain properties, but you don't know what them properties are. So then you can't say that it's natural. Because you're defining natural as having certain properties, but you can't define the properties of this thing. So how are you referring to it? Now, I can tell you there are properties we can make reference to. We can say that it must be the source of all power. If these things that are dependent upon it have any power, then whatever power they got, they must have gotten from the source.
Yeah.
Correct? So we can say this has the attribute of power. The necessary thing that gave rise to everything, it has an attribute of power. It is the source of all power.
Yes.
Yeah. You could say that it has the ability to design, or would you disagree?
I would disagree, but go on.
Okay, so if I was
you're disagreeing with design.
If I was to pick up a spoon or a fork in the middle of the desert, me and you were just walking about, we stumble upon a fork, I pick it up and I say, this is not designed. This is just random. Some rock hit a rock, some other rock hit another rock, a leaf tickled it, and now it looks like this.
Forks are artifacts.
Right, but we're asked, 1 second, I've not gotten to the point yet. But why is that absurd? What qualities, don't just say, oh, it's an artifact, but what qualities does the fork have? Because it could be something you've never experienced before. It could be some alien device that does some alien thing, and we have no idea, but it has the appearance of design. And I was to say, no, it's random. This alien artifact or this fork is completely random. Rocks hit rocks and trees tickled leaves. Yeah, and now we have this. Why? What attributes does this thing have that make you say no? This isn't random. It's designed.
The fork, because it has some inferences.
Oh, it's got design
Yeah,
inference.
but what are they?
What is the design inference, Pop?
Of a fork.
No,
Yeah,
of
what
design.
quality of anything? What is it when you see something that you
Yeah,
go, oh, this thing is designed?
Design inference. What's the design inference? Because you say you can infer design on a fork. What is the criterion to determine design on anything? You're 16. I'm going to bully you. I can't do it. We can't, Yusuf. I have a standard. 16-year-old.
Pop, read. If you go to Sapiens Institute or /books, you can get Hamza's book, The Divine Reality, for free. Begin there. The point is, you've got. You're a young lad.
Could I recommend a follow-up book to that?
No.
I'm just going to do it. It's called Islam and Nihilism by Yusuf Ponders.
By who? Who?
Yusuf Ponders.
Pop, you're a young lad. You've got yourself really confused with a lot of this stuff, yeah? You've gone too deep into things, and you're using words sort of inconsistently.
Yeah.
Your own justifications are sort of higgledy-piggledy, and you've got yourself lost in something, and your position isn't clear. Not to yourself. The more of question, it should be more apparent to you now as well that you're not really sure what you think.
Oh yeah, I understand now.
Okay, now your position is not in conflict. Insofar as you're saying this isn't a god and this is natural, that is a conflict. But when I push you on it and I ask you questions about these things, the things that you say about the initial state, quote unquote, it just sounds to me like you're just wanting to use words that the atheists around you might like, or whatever it is. It's not. You're not in a solid position. Yeah, read Hamza's book, The Divine Reality. Reread the Qur'an, because I got a feeling you're from a Muslim community by your accent.
I'm not Muslim.
No, I'm not saying you're Muslim, but I'm saying you sound
Muslim
British
community.
Asian.
Yeah.
You sound British Asian.
I'm not Asian.
You're trying to say he lives in Bradford?
No, I'm just saying, is that like I've got
he's trying to say he lives in Bradford.
He might be Palestinian. Maybe he's Palestinian.
You live in Bradford, Pop?
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not saying
you're Yorkshire lad, though, aren't you?
No, I don't.
He's northern.
He's Birmingham.
East London.
Birmingham.
But we're just gonna bloody throw down to the map now. Just it doesn't matter. The point is
Coventry. Okay. Midlands. East Midlands.
No, I was just making a based off your accent. You just sound British Asian.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Right, you might not be. I don't. But whatever it is, So. Honestly, I just think you've got yourself confused. You've gone too deep into a hole and you've got lost. And I just I implore you to reconsider, to look at Islam again, objectively, and
my
read the
family were never
Quran.
Muslim, and I was.
Say again.
So, my family were never Muslims. So,
what are they or what were they?
English.
Christians and. No.
So what's are they British?
No, they're not British.
So what are they?
They're Nigerian.
Nigerian?
Nigerian Christians.
I would never have guessed Nigerian.
Oh, why?
I don't know, just the accent. I've got a lot of friends that are like subcontinental and they've got an accent similar to yours.
Yeah, but he's probably born here, isn't he? 16.
Hold on, are you from the African side of Nigeria?
My friends are born here, but the Asian community in England has a particular twang that's unique to the Asian community. It's not.
No, but do you think a Nigeria is going to start? Is that he's from Lagos or something?
No, but like the Nigerian, the people raised within a Nigerian family in the UK have their own little twang. Like
no,
it's
they
the same
don't.
Like people raised, they do.
No,
people
they
from different
don't.
communities. The Polish have their own twang.
If
you're raised by a Polish
the Nigerian kids here growing up in East London and South London.
Honestly,
they don't speak like, "How are you today? I want a sandwich." They don't speak like that.
I'm not saying that. No, it's not. It's not like overt or obvious. But if you, my cousin.
Anyway, let the poor guy go. Let the poor boy go. You give him some beautiful,
but just
advice.
reconsider these things and have a look into it. And I think just read the Quran if you've not read it yet, and rethink your position, because you're not an atheist. You believe in a supernatural by your own accord. All right, guy.
All right, thanks, guys.
No worries,
Bye.
guy. Take care. Bye bye. But no, like if you spoke to my cousin Hamza, he was raised by a Polish mother, a Polish father. They spoke Polish in the household. He has a twang to his English. He sounds not quite English, although he is English. He was born and raised here.
But
What?
Asian.
No, he sounds. There's a Polish twang to it, and I can tell when I meet Polish people.
Yeah, there's a Polish twang to it because his mum and dad are Polish.
Exactly, and if your mum and dad are Asian, you have an Asian twang.
Yeah,
and
but
if your
he
mum and
said
dad are
many
Nigerian,
times he's not Asian. You kept insisting.
I know. I'm not. Listen
And
to
then
my
when he said he was African, his parents were African.
No, I
you were
said
like,
I would never have guessed that.
Really?
But the point
Alright.
is you're not listening to my point. The point is
Alright.
that if his mum and dad are both Nigerian, I would have thought he would have picked up some sort of Nigerian twang from them. Because that's typical when you have two parents that come from somewhere that have thick accents, whether it's Polish, whether it's subcontinental, whether
Maybe it
it's
was just his dad was
Nigerian.
from Nigeria and his mum's English.
No, he said both of them are Nigerian.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it was a curveball.
All right, let's let Pop go. Poor 16-year-old kid. We don't do 16-year-old kids, man. Someone said this guy's name earlier, and Michael Malzahn.
Hamza, what's up?
I think was it Amat who said it. How you doing, mate? What do you want?
I'm disappointed John Fontaine left us. I was checking in to tell you I haven't been possessed by jinn, as far as I know.
Anyway, what do you want?
Okay. Well, it was interesting. I think the one guy was bringing up the hadith of coitus interruptus. He was trying to say.
Why are you guys obsessed with sex?
I don't know if I heard him correctly when he said that. I'm like, wait, did I just hear that?
Every one of them. Sex.
Hamza, you know something funny? Literally yesterday.
No, why are you so obsessed?
Literally yesterday, I spoke with a Christian missionary on my campus. He brought up sexual arguments.
Yeah, why are you obsessed with
And
sex?
he was bringing them to sisters as well. Bringing them to sisters. I was like, what the shamelessness of these people.
Why are you obsessed with sex, bro?
When am I allowed to speak? Let me know.
I'm asking you a question. Why are you obsessed with sex?
Okay, I'm not obsessed with sex. You asked the one guy what he didn't like in Islam. He said what the right hand possesses. He tried to get his
No,
point out.
that's not what he said. That's not what he said.
He did.
No,
he
he
absolutely
didn't.
said what the right hand possesses.
No, he didn't. That's not what he
interrupted him several times.
That's not what he said.
As you are doing now.
That's not what he said, though. So you're not quoting what he said. I'll tell you what he said.
What did he say?
He says the teaching he doesn't like in Islam was the fact that you could rape a slave. That's exactly what he said. That was
after he said what the right hand possesses. I was
no, it's prior to it. Prior to it.
You better watch the tape. I'm pretty sure.
I don't need to watch the tape. I was here.
I was here too. I was sitting here watching.
So when I questioned him when he talked about non-consensual sex, I said, so you can rape them. Then he reeled back, and then he said, okay, I'm not saying it's rape, but I'm just saying you can have sex with it. Then we moved on to the fact that can two adults have consent in sex? He said, yes, no problem. Then I moved on to the European housemaid. Can her master have sex with her if she wants to have sex with him? Then he was talking about whether the wife's going to be upset. So then we spoke about if the wife was agreeable. Is then it okay to have sex?
Well, before
that was the whole point that was being made. So
concubinage was brought
anyway,
up.
Is that the point you were coming with, or you got something?
No, I was
more pertinent.
One, I was hoping John Fontaine was still here.
Forget John Fontaine. Stop obsessing about John Fontaine. What's your point?
I'm not obsessing with him.
Well, you kind of are.
He asked Jin to possess me, and I'm telling him Jin haven't possessed me.
He's not here. What's your point?
Okay. Well, my point is Jin have not possessed me yet.
I don't care. What's your point?
Okay. My point is there's clearly concubinage within Islam. There's clearly Ramza just starts.
What's your point, mate?
I'm sorry. I heard the I haven't been possessed by jinn, so I just like
But I just want to know what's your point, mate.
Congratulations. No jinn.
What's your point?
No, okay.
You guys don't remember me? I'm the guy who asked if humans can have sex with
yes, Michael. Yes, Michael. I remember you well.
Okay, you remember me well. Hamza, do you remember me or not?
No.
This guy's been on my stream a couple of times. It's always
is Ja. Do you remember me? Is Ja still here?
No idea who you are. What's your point?
Okay. Well, my point is, if you read the
I remember you.
hadiths of coitus interruptus, let me read.
What's your point
here. clearly you're raping women. That is my point.
Oh, right. So you believe Islam teaches the rape of women?
Of your sex slaves, yes.
You can rape
the
them.
war booty.
All right, and what was my refutation to that?
I don't remember you. Hamza said the women
Michael,
used to come out dressed up, that they wanted
Michael,
to be taken.
no. Wait, you remember me? You haven't been on my streams a couple times.
Right. I remember you saying it wasn't rape, but how do you guys infer?
No, but in this very stream, I refuted that.
Well, you refuted it by saying obviously the women are consenting to it.
No. I said that was after he conceded that it was not forced. I gave evidence against it being forced. Remember, what was the evidence I gave?
I don't remember. I had to go down and make a drink.
I mentioned how. Sorry, I have a tab open.
Have you come back with the same point, Mike?
The question the example I gave was the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he said that if you slap a slave, you have to free the slave.
That's right. You did say if you slap a slave.
So if you can't slap a slave, I don't know how on earth you can muster up the physical means to force yourself on a slave. I don't know how. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Michael, seriously, have you come back with the same point?
Well, do you guys know the?
We're not interested. We're not interested.
Okay, well, you can ban me again. It's all right. It's your website.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in this pervy kind of conversations that are just repeating themselves. You came on the arena with this point. It was dealt with, and you've come back to ask again. Yeah.
Same thing on TikTok as well. Same,
I can't bothered. Honestly, I can't. They're just obsessed with sex. They really are obsessed.
You know,
with sex.
Hamza,
too much porn, man. Too much porn.
It's funny you mentioned that because I mentioned this a minute ago. Yesterday, literally just yesterday, I found a Christian missionary. First time I ever found this on my campus, intentionally targeting hijabi women, and he was making sexual arguments. Now, by the way, don't ask me how. It's a long story, but I am 100% certain that he was intentionally targeting hijabi women. There's a number of reasons I know that. And when I overheard him, alhamdulillah, the sisters were there was this one sister who was speaking to, handling him fairly well. You know what I'm saying? Alhamdulillah, she has her iman very strong, had her head on her shoulders. But when I noticed that I realized that he was not only intentionally targeting Muslim sisters wearing hijab, but he was also intentionally making only appealing to sexual arguments. I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? Like, are you okay? Do you miss your wife? Is your wife not giving you any attention at home? What's going on? It's embarrassing.
It's just it just sickens me when they just come.
The reason why hold on, wait, excuse me. Oh, there you go. The reason why that upsets me is because look, I have little sisters, and I would be absolutely mortified if I knew that somebody was going up to my little sisters, because that's someone else's sister, right? Someone else's sister, daughter, right? I would be absolutely disgusted if my little sister was being approached like that by men. No, it's disgusting.
Hunter, what do you want, mate?
Oh, I'm in here. Whoa, what's up, guys?
How you doing, mate?
I'm doing great, man. Let's pipe it down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We're getting a little little nasty up in here. Okay, so basically, straight to the point. I think I've been on a couple of Ramsey's, right? Ramsey's stream.
Hunter, what's up? I'm sorry, I took me that.
Are you like the Pied Piper, flipping it, bringing everyone in? What do you want, Hunter? Go on.
You're welcome. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you could thank me for the last guest, you know.
Yeah. So basically, I'm more on the Christian side. I fell into it. Done my own efforts, and whatnot. But there's something I find it really amazing that you guys have such conviction in what you guys teach, and so that draws me. I'm like, what? I'm trying to find the truth. I don't really care which one. I want the truth, right? So, some things that I have questions about in terms of the Quran is to really appreciate the Quran, it's written in Arabic, so you have to read in Arabic to truly appreciate it. And I question, like, on the contrary, the final revelation was Jesus, right? Like, Jesus was the example. And so I'm like, if that's, I really just don't have.
The Quran says what?
No, so the Quran's written in Arabic. I don't think.
No, you said the Quran says what about Jesus?
No. Contrary to the Christian belief, Jesus was like a revelation, like he was God in human form.
Okay. So basically, the Quran is against the Christian understanding of Jesus. Okay, that's fine. Go on.
No, so I just have a problem with it being written in Arabic, and that's the only way to really understand the message.
Why is that a problem when it was delivered to Arabs?
Yeah, and I think that's just. I'm like, if Jesus was, I think Jesus was the best example for mankind because he was sinless.
Remind me
And
what
so-
language Jesus spoke.
Aramaic,
So why are you reading an English Bible?
because I speak English.
But Jesus spoke Aramaic.
Yeah, but you can read an English translation of the Quran. What's the issue?
Yeah, I don't get it.
True. Fair enough, bro.
Yeah, so I mean,
Fair enough,
we're not we're not opposed. You know, I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
if Muslims are opposed to translations. We have translations.
All right,
of the,
okay. Let's do that. So that's nonsense dealt with, right?
we have English translations of the Quran. So I mean,
Right. What else you got, mate? What else are you trying to say? Because that was nonsense. Do you want to just take that back and pretend it never happened?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and do that, bro.
Yeah, we'll rewind. Right, start again. Yeah, Hunter, what are you doing,
God.
mate? What's your point?
Bro, it's okay. So Christianity, like the main foundation is the resurrection. One of the main foundations that builds out Christianity, right?
Right.
And if I read in the Quran, I don't find anywhere that explains whether the resurrection happened or not.
Okay, why do you believe the resurrection happened?
Because that's what the eyewitness accounts were attested.
Which
Like, that's what
eyewitnesses?
here we go again. Here we go again.
It's
Which
in the Gospels.
eyewitnesses? Which of the gospel writers were eyewitnesses?
I would have to say John more than anybody else, right?
Why do you believe John was an eyewitness?
Because that's what the whole gospel is about. Like John was there with Jesus, and
No, the author of the Gospel of John. Why do you believe he was an eyewitness?
the author of John.
Yes.
You're talking about the author that wrote
Yes.
the gospel.
Yes.
I don't understand the question. I'm
Okay.
confused.
Do you believe that John, a disciple of Jesus, wrote the Gospel of John?
I would say so. Yeah.
Why?
I believe that what we have is copies, of course, but I do think that the originals would have to have been from John.
No, I
and
know
what he
you think
spoke,
that.
and they wrote it
I
down.
know,
what
I
he
know,
said.
I know you think that. Why do you think
Yeah.
that? The clue is in the word why.
Right. So I think what I believe is, and I haven't really dug too deep, right? But I do think that because John, like it's the same way with Peter or Paul, right? He had his own scribe.
Forget Peter and Paul. Let's deal with John. Why?
You're overthinking it, Hunter.
One second, Ramsey. No. Let me give you an argument against it being John the Apostle. Okay. Have you heard of Polycarp?
Mm-mm.
You not heard of one of the church fathers called Polycarp? So Polycarp was a disciple of the gospel for the Apostle John. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So imagine this. So the Apostle John has a disciple called Polycarp. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Polycarp never quotes anything from the Gospel of John.
Who was this person? Like, what did he teach?
So Polycarp is a disciple of John. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yet he never quotes from the Gospel of John. Why not?
He was the apostle of John, and then never quoted anything.
He's a disciple of John, so John was his teacher. Yet he never quotes from the Gospel of John.
Why does he not do that?
Because the Gospel of John's not written by his teacher.
That's so crazy, bro.
either that, or he wasn't an actual disciple of John. Either way.
Yeah, or he wasn't a disciple of John.
But my question
is then you've got a problem then, because then you've got to, well, why do you believe what Polycarp says then?
So
because you Polycarp is vouched for because he's a disciple of John, and if he doesn't quote from the Gospel of John, then two things are going on here: either the Polycarp wasn't a disciple of John, or the author of John wasn't his teacher, John.
What did Polycarp? I'm sure who this person is. Like, what did he write
this
about?
is the thing, you see, because you're speaking with lack of knowledge. Okay. Second thing, according to New Testament scholarships, the Gospel of John has 3 writers, 3 editings. The other problem you have is the author of John never says his name is John. So why do you believe it was the Apostle John who wrote it?
Damn, this goes deeper than I thought it did, bro.
It does.
Appreciate it.
And here's the problem you have, you see, as well, because in the Gospel of John, Jesus says all these really divine things, bread of life and all this kind of stuff. Now, the point is this: we're supposed to understand that Jesus was preaching and his disciples were recording what he was saying. So the 4 gospel writers, some of them were disciples, some were disciples of disciples, or whatever it may be. Why is it we never hear of any of these quotes from Jesus? These profound statements, these divine statements in the Gospel of Mark, Matthew, or Luke, in that sense. It's only in the Gospel of John do we get all this Christology, all this divine status flex. We don't hear it before. Now understand one thing, right? All of the gospel writers are anonymous. You don't know who wrote any of them. Okay, none of them make a claim as to who the author is, and according to New Testament scholars, we don't know who wrote them. We don't think it's primary source information based upon the content of the information. We don't believe they were disciples of Jesus writing these things. Okay, so what we can say is secondhand information, hearsay of what people heard. Okay, if Jesus said he's a bread of life, the people would have told the author of Mark, author of Matthew, author of Luke. But there was no mention of this. So we have to wait like 40, 50, 60 years until we hear these profound statements.
I see.
So this is the problem we have now, because all of a sudden you can't even be sure about what's being said. Now, I'll give you an example. You believe in the beautiful teaching of, was it, he without sin cast the first stone for the woman caught in adultery, yeah?
Yeah.
And you believe, and you're imagining a time in history where Jesus came and he saw these people with this woman, and he drew a line in the sand, and he said, he without sin cast the first stone. And when he looked up, everyone had run away. And he said, oh, where are your accusers? And they said, oh, they've all gone. He said, well, then he said, sin and go and sin no more. Yeah. And then this was apparently a teaching that everyone's a sinner. Yeah. And this is found where? Gospel of John. Agreed? But it's not found in the earliest manuscripts of the Gospel of John. Yeah. So you go to the earliest manuscripts, we don't find this story. We only find the story in later manuscripts. So are people putting words into Jesus's mouth? He never said. This is the problem we have now. So we can bring evidence that people are changing the text to suit themselves, adding things, removing things. So forget what the originals were. Yeah. Forget, we don't know the authors of these things were. Whoever wrote the originals, that's still being changed. Yeah. So this is why I always ask the question, why I believe the New Testament is a reliable source of information. Now, you spoke about the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Who outside of the New Testament speaks about the resurrection of Jesus Christ? Outside of the Gospels, who talks about this resurrection? Does just Flavius Josephus talk about it?
Well, I do think that what I've heard is like obviously the tomb's empty, body's not there.
Well,
like more geological
the
things.
The tomb emptying. Okay, a few problems again. An empty tomb proves nothing. It just proves he's not there. It doesn't prove a resurrection. Now, I'll tell you what would prove. Do you want me to be big proof? Big proof would be if he was put in this tomb and the guards were stood there and the stone was rolled over it. Yeah. And then when they went after 3 days, that's then the stone's not moved and the guards are still there. Yeah. And yet when they roll the stone back, he's gone. Then you could say, wow, this is a miracle. Yeah. Not going there, the stones roll back and the guards are knocked out. That doesn't demonstrate anything or prove anything, does it?
Yeah, it's fair to say.
So now if the stone was still there and the guards were still there and they replaced the guards and not everyone can vouch the stone's never moved, then the stone rolls back and then he's not there, then you can say, wow, this is evidence of a resurrection. This is evidence of something. Yeah. But a stone rolled back and knocked out guards proves nothing, I would say. Now, the next problem the next problem you have, this is based upon the prophecy where he's asked, give us a sign. He said, no sign in the Gospel of Mark. Gospel of Matthew, no sign but the sign of Jonah. Yeah? Yeah, after 3 days and 3 nights and such. So the question that needs to be asked is this. A few questions. Who was the sign supposed to be for? Who was this to demonstrate? Who was this an evidence for? Who was this resurrection to prove to? Was it his disciples and his companions? Or was it the people who didn't believe who he claimed to be?
Probably both.
No. This adulterous nation asked for a sign. Who's he talking about? He's talking about his companions, his disciples.
Okay.
No, he's talking about the ones who don't believe who he is when they're asking him to prove who he is. Or not?
I would say that's fair, yeah.
Right. Did Jesus ever appear to these people? After his crucifixion?
According to Paul, yeah.
No, according to Paul, no.
No.
Did Jesus raise after 3 days and appear to these people and say, look, I'm alive? Did he do this? 3 days and 3 nights, remember?
For the story is 40 days. Here's over 500 people.
No. Did he visit the Pharisees? Did he visit the
I see what you're
the
saying.
ones who asked for a sign, and the ones he said he would give the sign? Did he
No.
appear to those guys as the
Nope.
sign? No. So he failed the prophecy. Yeah, because he was supposed to appear to them. That was the evidence he was going to give them.
And that's in the story of Jonah, correct?
No, yeah, that's in the Gospel of Matthew. In the Gospel of Mark, there's no sign going to be given. Now, I think that's the true one. No sign shall be given. Now, bear in mind, he was asked to give a sign after just feeding 5,000 people with 2 fish and 3 loaves of bread. I mean, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. But anyway, so Jesus says, no sign shall be given but the sign of Jonah. Yeah, as he was inside the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights, so the Son of Man shall be in the belly of the earth for 3 days and 3 nights. So this should be an evidence.
The screen.
Sorry a second.
I shared the verses so you can see it.
Oh, okay.
This one.
Yeah.
So in Mark,
so this is Gospel of Mark.
Deeply. Yes, chapter 8.
And then he gets 12. In his boat and goes. Leaves. Read the next verse. Chapter go to 13.
You want me to? Yeah, I can add it here. Give me a sec.
So this is the Gospel of Mark when he's do the ones before it as well though. Make it so it's like
context.
Yeah. So put 11 in as well.
Okay, done.
Then the Pharisees came and began to argue with Jesus, asking for a sign from heaven to test him. Sighing deeply in his spirit, he said, "Why does this generation look for a sign? I tell you the truth. No sign will be given to this generation." Then he left them, got back in his boat, and went to the other side. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
This is Gospel of Mark.
Keep sharing it.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Sharing it.
Now the Gospel of Matthew. We see the change.
The experts.
Then some of the experts in the law, along with some of the Pharisees, answered him, "Teacher, we want to see a sign." But he answered them, "An evil and adulterous generation asks for a sign, but no sign will be given to it except the sign of the prophet Jonah." So now we've got a sign. So now it's no longer no sign will be given, and he leaves in his boat. Now he's going to tell them what he's going to do. Yeah. This is evidence of a failed prophecy because he never did that. He never appeared to them afterwards, which he should have done, which he claimed he was going to do, but he didn't do that.
It's more than that. Just to be clear, it's a contradiction. It's a false promise. It's a development of scripture. It's many things encompassed in one example.
Yeah, and so we've got this is the first problem you have. Well, the first problem you have is the contradiction between the two eyewitnesses. Jesus did no sign. Now all of a sudden he's offering a sign. Second problem is if this was a sign, he never produced it. Okay. Third problem you have: none of his disciples were waiting for this sign to occur. Yeah. After his death, after his apparent crucifixion, none of his disciples were waiting at his tomb for 3 days for him to rise. None of them were thinking about him rising from the grave.
Well, I've heard.
One second. Let me just continue.
Yeah,
and we know this because in the Gospel of John, the women, I think, is it Mary, runs to John and the disciples and Peter. Sorry, John and Peter, and say he's risen. And they race to the tomb. So now they're like, what? Really? So they run to the tomb and they get to the tomb. And when they arrive at the tomb, it's empty. Yeah? What would you expect them to say?
They lied. Or they're lying.
No. When When John and Peter arrive at the tomb and they see it's empty, what would you expect them to say?
I expect them to be like,
hallelujah. Hallelujah.
One second.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You'd expect them to say, he's done it. He said he was going to do it. He's risen. Would you not expect that? Is that what happened?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think
It says they got to the tomb, found it was empty, and then they went home because they did not yet know scripture. You're like, what? Wait a minute. The disciples of Jesus, John and Peter, who heard the explanations to all of Jesus's parables and all of his prophecies and everything he was going to do. And apparently we're told that he taught his disciples he's to die and raise in 3 days. He told the Pharisees he's going to raise after 3 days. And after 3 days, and he's risen, apparently, they're not amazed. They weren't even aware. They acted in a manner that they didn't even know this was supposed to happen. Now, my question is this. They didn't know scripture. What scripture? What scripture didn't Peter and John aware of with regards to the resurrection of Jesus Christ when apparently he's just taught them he's going to do it? Make any sense?
That's fair. Bro's cooking, bro.
So this is the thing. When you look at these things, you have to ask yourself, what's going on? Why do I believe this stuff?
Hunter,
You cooked, bro.
if I may ask,
I respect it.
Hunter, are you Hunter Bailey from Clubhouse?
What the fudge? No, bro. I'm just Hunter.
No. Okay.
All the good times,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, they sound similar sometimes. Hunter, so I wanted to ask a different line of questioning, which is, what
Sure.
are you here to discuss today? What is the point that you're trying to convey to us?
Yeah, so the reason, well, that was just a starter, but
Just before you continue, I'm going to quickly go a second. Be back in 5 minutes. But what I was going to
Go
say,
for
what
it.
he said, Hijaz, was this. This is what brought on this line of inquiry. He said, why doesn't the Quran mention the resurrection that was mentioned in the New Testament? All right.
My
see you in a
blood
bit.
pressure. Okay, let me see. How many of these should I take right now? Like, right, so Hunter, did they answer your question, or would you like me to give my
yeah,
perspective?
no. Yeah, no, he did. He definitely like he brought evidence like from the verses and to show that it's probably not a reliable book. That he probably did not be resurrected, or like this shit's probably made up or something.
Yeah, pretty much. But the Quran, in any case, the Quran does not need to mention it because we don't believe it happened. Right? It's, So, what was your next question then? What brought you here?
Okay, cool. I know. I'll definitely look into that for sure. Appreciate that. Second thing was kind of more of my understanding of why Allah started created His creation, and to my understanding, right, like that's to exercise His mercy, correct? Or am I wrong?
That's part of it, I suppose. Yeah, you can say so.
Sure. What's the rest? Because like just based off that alone, that from my understanding, it just sounds it just doesn't like fill my cup. So like I would like to understand the rest of it.
The more cohesive way is to say that Allah has created entities, not that He benefits, but rather through His mercy of His will and wisdom, they get to experience Him, benefit from Him, life, knowledge, experiences, happiness, things of this nature. We get to do, and we get to do that on the basis that we honor our responsibilities towards Him, such as being a Muslim and obeying His obligations that He has placed upon us. So God has given us that which was non-existent, life, and that gift of life He has given us to test us, and that test comes with significant reward or significant punishment. It's not a game, it's not a joke. Allah, out of His mercy, created us, out of His mercy, sustains us, and because He is merciful, He must judge the just fairly, and He will judge He would judge the unjust fairly as well. That's what we basically believe. What's disagreeable about that?
Well, it's just super contrary to the Christian belief, of course, but I think it's interesting that He created creation to experience like everything that Allah has to offer them. Like that just
experience
sounds
life to actually exist, because we believe
right.
that before existence we were nothing. God, out of His mercy and choice, chose to individually create each and every one of us, and He gave us something that He did not, as we believe as Muslims. He blessed us with the gift of the faculty of reasoning and of free will. And so we are creation of God, who, if we use our free will and intellect and adhere to the laws that He's given us, we will ultimately be saved and, like I said, judged. And with that judgment comes consequences, and it comes with blessings. The consequence, you go to hell. The blessing, you go to heaven. So it's all worked out. It's cogent and coherent. It makes sense to me. It's reasonable. The creation story, though, in the Bible does not make sense to me. I'll be honest with you. I don't believe that God created human beings, then regretted creating us. I don't believe that he left us without guidance, that the prophets were only restricted to Bani Israel. We don't believe those things, right? So it's two different faiths altogether. Did I answer your question, Hunter?
Yeah, no, that was a good answer.
But could I ask you a question in return?
Sure, bro.
Right. So, do you agree that Jesus, because you're a Christian, do you
Yeah.
agree that Jesus is the only teacher to the disciples?
To Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John?
No, not the authors of the Gospels, to his disciples, the 12 disciples.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's a teacher, and we're going to ask the question here: is Trinitarianism the same as Jewish monotheism at the day and time of Jesus?
I don't know what Jewish monotheism was at the time.
Okay, so as a quick example, they don't believe that God can be a human, that he's not three persons with one essence, simply that God is one essence, one person, right?
God the Father, essentially.
Yep, pretty much, right? So if he's a teacher and he has to teach them, here is what you currently believe, this is what you should believe, is there not going to be a change in their beliefs?
Yeah, with like
Right, a monotheistic Jew who believes that God cannot be seen, is not a human, is not a man. This God is unseeable and only known through the prophets and his revelation. And Jesus says, no, what you see before you is God, right? That's a big change, yeah?
Yep, 100%.
So then, let me ask you this then. If I read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, where does Jesus teach the disciples that shift in belief?
So basically, what parts in the gospel does Jesus claim to be God, essentially?
No, not where he claims to be God, but where he tells them that their understanding of monotheism should actually be understood in this way, a different, new way. Is there a place where he does that in any of the four gospels?
I would think, and obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that the whole experience, like them hanging around with Jesus, learning, Jesus teaching them, etc., the miracles, like everything that Jesus did, is enough evidence or proof to the disciples that this is the truth.
No,
so that's what they believe.
I don't think you're fully understanding. So we don't have an issue with Christ performing miracles. That's fine. But what is it about Christ's teachings, or did Christ at any time in his ministry ever indicate that? Because look, you believe in progressive revelation, but we ask Christians, they say, because can we both agree that the Trinity is not something that was known to the Jewish people at the time of Christ, correct?
Yeah, I agree.
Good. Obviously, you believe the Trinity is true, correct?
Yeah.
And I'm sure, and I would then, so it would seem that you believe that Christ taught the Trinity, correct? And if he did, and if he didn't, then I would like. So, what's your take on that?
Right. So I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think. Well, I think that he's not going to say clear, like explicit. I don't think he said it explicitly.
So just to be clear, I just want to be sure I understand. You're saying that Christ never explicitly defined God in the triune doctrine in which you hold to.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I appreciate you admitting that. Okay, interesting.
I mean, that's interesting, but I mean, Christ said to the disciples, for you have one teacher, the Messiah, right? So if his job as the Messiah is to teach, especially about faith in God, and he does not teach them about God directly and explicitly, then that means he wasn't a good teacher. It means he wasn't a good revelator. And I can't force myself to accept that understanding of Christ Jesus.
I mean, look, that's quite
But
literally.
wait, hold on, dude. That makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate that. And that opens my eyes. But my only counter argument, not even an argument, but like this is my belief that even in the Bible, he says a lot of things and makes a lot of points that aren't super explicit, but the message hits home, right? Like parables, things like that. So it's like for me, even though he didn't explicitly say it, maybe did he imply it in some places.
But Hunter, this is your concept of God. This isn't exactly a minute matter. This isn't like some little message here or there. Right. This is quite literally the difference between heaven and hellfire, right? You know, how do I say this? This is like the
meat.
The meat, exactly. The meat and potatoes here. It's, you know, the triune doctrine. Look, you mind if I ask you this? If I don't adhere to the triune doctrine, can I go to heaven?
If you what?
If I don't adhere to the so if I was to believe Trinity. That if I was to you know, reject Trinitarianism, could I have a chance of going to paradise?
I would say no, according to Paul, right?
Right. So now, if rejecting the Trinity is that much of a, or how do I say this? If the Trinity is such a fundamental matter of your faith, to the point where I could go to hellfire if I don't adhere to it, don't you find it a bit odd that Christ, in his entire ministry, however long you think it may be, never bothered even once to explicitly define it in the way you believe, or in any way for that matter? Right.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. And I think that when Jesus says, like, I'm the way, the truth, and the life, like I am, right? Like he's basically saying, like, the only way you can get to the Father is through me.
But we're not talking about we're not talking about Christ's divinity per se. That's a different discussion. I mean, it's related, obviously, but that's a different discussion.
Okay.
I'm talking about I'll tell you what, if I believe that Christ is God, if I'm a Binitarian, if I acknowledge Christ as God, but I end up being a Binitarian, do I go to paradise?
Well, I don't know what Binitarian is, bro.
If I acknowledge that there are only two members of God or two persons in God, not three, right? Get it? Right. Trinity, Binity, too. You know, so here's another question. If I was to acknowledge Christ as God but reject the triune doctrine, would I have a chance of going to paradise?
Man, honestly, that's a good question, bro. And I think that if you don't believe Jesus died for your sins or that whole thing, then
no. Jesus died for my sins is one thing. But yeah, go ahead.
Like, I want to give an example here. It's at the end of the Gospel of Matthew.
I was gonna use that example. Yeah, because look, Hunter, like if I'm sorry.
Right. So I wanted us to read something, which is.
Doesn't Hamza have to let you share your screen?
I think this is what Matthew. So maybe it's in Mark then.
I believe it's. I can help you find it if you like. I know it's in the
Gospel. Thief on the cross. Is it Mark?
Oh no, that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of when the Jewish man spoke to him. He says, "You are close to the kingdom of heaven."
Yeah, that's what I'm going to refer to.
Oh, isn't that? Oh wait, maybe I'm okay.
So can someone remind me? Is it in Luke? Then I can't seem to find it now.
What I'm referring to is in Mark chapter 12. It's about the Jewish man who he said, "Good master, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Right, but
that one.
Have we gone past the part though? You can't rely on what the book actually says in the first place.
Sort of. So
I just want to read something for him to see something.
What Ijaz, the point Ijaz has been making is that essentially Christ never explicitly taught the triune doctrine, and that so I asked Hunter. Okay, so yeah,
I found it. If Hamza wants to share my screen, I'll just share it quickly.
Oh, definitely.
Hamza has seen me make this point dozens of times, so he may not be too interested in it.
No. I'm always learning from you, bro.
So the question is, can you be saved within Christianity, the beliefs of Christianity, without believing in the Trinity, the Godhead, being a member of the church, etc.? So this is Luke chapter 28, Luke chapter 23, and we scroll all the way down, okay? And this is where Jesus is on the cross, and there were two people with him. Okay.
Yep.
So I want you to follow me carefully on this. Okay.
Yep.
We're asking ourselves the questions: what is the requirement of belief in order to be saved? Do we understand the question?
Yep.
Okay, so let's start with verse 39. Can you guys see it properly? Do I need to
Yes.
zoom in?
No, we can see it.
Okay, it says, so verse 38, it says, one of the criminals who was hanging there railed at Jesus, saying, "Aren't you the Christ? Save yourself and us." But the other criminal rebuked him, saying, "Don't you fear God, since you are under the same sentence of condemnation? And we rightly so, for we are getting what we deserve for what we did, but this man has done nothing wrong." Then he said, "Jesus, remember me when you come in your kingdom." And Jesus said to him, "I tell you the truth. Today you will be with me in paradise." Okay, so do you agree with me that Jesus says to one of these people on the cross that they've earned their salvation?
Yeah.
He's guaranteeing that this person is going to heaven. Okay, so
100%.
we ask the question again: what did this person have to believe, not do, but have to believe in order to get to heaven? So there are just a couple of things, but he says that we have to fear God, right? That those are one of the things that you fear God. So fear of God is one. The other is that Jesus is innocent, that this man has done nothing wrong. Do you agree so far?
Yeah, and then also that they accept that they don't deserve to be in heaven either.
No. We're trying to understand what are the beliefs required for Jesus to then say this man deserves to go to heaven. So the first one is that the man fears God.
Yeah.
Right, the man says he fears God because right, that he fears God, and we continue that Jesus is a what? A man who has done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Does he call him a god in this verse or a man?
A man.
A man who has done nothing wrong. So it's two things so far: fear God, and that Jesus was innocent or did nothing wrong. And the last one was that Jesus has a kingdom. So for us, so Jesus is a king of a kingdom. He believes that Jesus has a God, correct?
Do I believe Jesus is God? Yeah.
No, not Jesus is God, that Jesus has a kingdom.
Oh, I hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus has a kingdom, right? Now he is a man who is innocent and has a kingdom. Do you agree to that so far?
Yeah.
All right. So did the man say anything about Jesus being God? Simple question. Yes, no, what?
I would say yeah, because the kingdom says.
Sorry, hold on. Where in the statement or in this passage is anything mentioned of Christ's divinity? Or am I tripping here?
No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
No, but where
it says, "Remember me when you
yeah.
come in your kingdom."
Yeah, but how does that make him? Where's the divinity though?
What kind of man has authority over their kingdom?
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay,
the king,
the prime minister, the queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesus is the Christ, right? The point of the Christ is that he rules over God's kingdom because God has elected the Messiah to lead and teach the Jewish people. Right? So if Jesus is the Christ and he is innocent of the allegations raised against him and he is a man, then Jesus has a kingdom.
Okay.
Right? So the thing is, he didn't need to believe that Jesus was God. He described Jesus as a man. He actually says that you should fear God, not fear Jesus. Okay? And he says that we're under the same sentence as this man. So those are the things that got him into heaven. Jesus heard the man say these words and granted him paradise, the judgment of paradise. I put the question to you. That means that what is sufficient to get into paradise are the beliefs that you have to fear God, which we Muslims believe, that Jesus is innocent, which is what we Muslims believe, that Jesus was a man, that's what we Muslims believe, and that Jesus has a king, Jesus has a kingdom to inherit. He will lead the people as their Messiah. That's a Muslim belief. Jesus the Messiah in Islam. So do Muslims not meet the standard for belief according to these passages?
Yep.
Right. So now, see, that was my point. That you can get to heaven in Christianity without having to believe that all 28 books are inspired. You don't have to believe in the Apostle Paul, the Trinity. You don't have to belong to a church. None of these things except these three, right? Look how simple it was. These things are what Islam teaches. That's where I would leave it. But yeah.
Very nicely done, Ijaz.
Hell yeah.
You got a lot to think about, Hunter.
Yes, I do.
But I'm going to leave this. I've decided I'm going to keep the arenas available for everyone. I'm not going to bother membering them up. So you can rewatch yourself and you can.
Yep.
Just because you got annihilated, dude.
Also,
he came to learn.
Yeah, he hasn't really been. I mean,
no. Okay, yeah.
I mean, obviously he came in with a
He came at us. He came at us saying, "Why does the Quran get it wrong about the resurrection?" That's what yeah. I got two quick fun facts for you, Hunter.
Go for it, brother.
Do you know what the name of Barabbas was?
I don't know who Barabbas is.
You know where it says, "Who shall I release, Barabbas or Jesus?" Do you know what Barabbas' first name was?
No.
It was Jesus. And do you know what Barabbas means?
No.
Son of the Father.
Is this when they're in prison, or am I tripping?
What?
Is this when they're in prison, or am I tripping?
No, this is when Pontius Pilate says he's going to release somebody. Who shall I release, Jesus or Barabbas? And the people say,
before the crowd, yeah.
Before the
Gotcha.
crowd. Yeah. But Barabbas is son of the Father, and his first name was Jesus. So you had two Jesuses now. Who shall I release? This Jesus or this Jesus? Imagine saying to the crowd, who shall I release? Jesus of Nazareth or Jesus, son of the Father? Who got released?
Yeah.
No, who got released?
Well, if I can't say the name, I forgot how you say it.
Barabbas. Jesus Barabbas.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. So Jesus, son of the Father, was released. He was never crucified. According to what your New Testament says, yeah. So it's just something for you to kind of think about, because
also
we could do this all night.
Yeah.
We really could. We because there's so many holes everywhere. But until you're like honest enough with yourself to say this just doesn't make any sense.
You know something, Hamza, actually, something I've always dreamt of doing is actually going to Jerusalem, because I've been to Jerusalem a number of different times, and actually going through some of these passages and actually quite literally visiting some of the sites. Like I visited the Garden of Gethsemane. I've visited, I've seen, a number of different places, which Christians, which at the time I had no idea, but these are some sites which are named throughout the New Testament. And potentially, going through all these, we have, I'm not going to name them, we have certain Christian apologists who recently visited Palestine, to make some political, very, very polarized political statements anyway. And, it's definitely something I think that's definitely a dream of mine, inshallah, to be able to be there and to read the New Testament and to actually point out all of these, all these arguments, subhanAllah. I think it's definitely a goal of mine, subhanAllah.
All right, Hunter, it's been real.
Sir, man.
And hopefully you reflect on what's been said to you. I'd like you to refute what's been said to you. I'd like you to challenge what's been said to you. Really, really, really enjoy that.
That's why I came on the platform,
you've got
man.
to ask yourself a question, because you came in here thinking that you had this position, and now your position ain't as strong, and you need to question why you're holding.
I've been annihilated, bro. Yeah, 100%.
But this is good though, because this is a learning curve. Now I'm going to leave you with one thing. I'm going to demonstrate right now that.
Go for it, bro.
This might sound condescending, but I don't think I'm going to be. I would put a charge against you that you can't even be trusted to understand what you read in the Bible. And I'm going to kind of try and demonstrate it. Yeah?
Sure.
All right. When Jesus says, I and the Father are one, what could he mean?
When he says that line, I would imagine the narrative is that he's basically saying me and him have to share the same glory, or basically the same.
Right. See, what you just did then didn't answer my question.
Okay.
Because you told me your opinion.
Okay.
I asked you, what could he have meant?
Okay.
Is that the only thing he could have meant?
I mean, that's what I infer. From
No, I know that's
the,
what. No, this is the point. You see, this is what I'm saying to you. I've just demonstrated exactly what I said to you. You can't even be trusted to read your own Bible, and I'll tell you why. That statement's ambiguous because they could be one in an ontological form or a functional form. There's two ways to understand that one verse. Yet when you read it, you're reading it explicitly.
Yeah.
So that's a demonstration that you can't be trusted to read your own scripture, dude.
Yeah, it takes time, effort.
No. You've got because you're reading it through a biased lens. You're trying to make the scripture fit your narrative. So as you're seeing this, and you think it's confirming doctrine. You see this. This confirms Trinity. They are one. Do you understand? But it could mean they were one in the sense when Jesus says his disciples, you can be one with us. Because when you read that, I'm pretty certain you don't think Jesus is saying they can become part of this Godhead, are you?
Yeah, 100%.
Why not? It's the same word.
Right. Different context.
No, it's the same context. They're both functional. They're both functional. Jesus, and we know this because when you have an ambiguous statement, right? Syntactical ambiguity. What you need to do, you need to find explicit statements that you can add context. Yeah. So what does Jesus say that the Father is the only true God? Doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So, and how many only true gods can there be?
One.
Right. So if Jesus says the Father is the only true God, and then Jesus says he and the Father are one, he can't be saying he's God because he's already told you that the Father is the only true God. Therefore, what he must be saying that he's one in purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's a messenger of God.
Sure.
And that's when he says in John 17:3, they may know you, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you think that's an explicit statement, that can mean nothing else. When Jesus said the Father is the only true God, it can only mean the Father is the only true God. Yeah. And so once you've got an explicit statement, you now take it back to your ambiguous statement, and then you understand that Jesus is not declaring himself to be God, but he's basically saying he's a messenger of God. And what God says, what he says is what God has told him to say. It's not difficult. But like I say, I just wanted to demonstrate to you, you can't even be trusted to read your own Bible, mate. It's been real.
Yeah, you're 100% right, man.
Take care, dude. I hopefully see you again, man. And if you come with some refutation, I'd really appreciate it.
Sounds good, brother.
Take care, mate.
Later.
Ta-da.
Thank you.
Oh, and that was Ponders had to leave us. He was really, really sleepy, so he had to go. But alhamdulillah, you guys are putting a shift today. MashaAllah, Ijaz.
It's only 5 p.m. where I'm at, man. So
what's that?
It's only 5 p.m. where I'm at.
Is it? What time is it where you at, Ijaz?
It's 8:03.
8 p.m.
Yeah. No, here it's 1 a.m. Or as I like to call it, DayZ time. But other than that.
Hamza, is it possible to share my Buy Me a Coffee link with the fans?
Yeah, of course. Where is it?
I tried to share it on the chat.
I don't think you can share it in the link. I don't think you can share it. Share it in the back chat, yeah?
Yeah, you were obsessed with coffee when I met you. You're still obsessed with coffee now.
I put it in the back chat.
Yeah. Because you got to be a mod to be able to put comments in the links in. All right, here we go. So this link I've just put in now is for Ijaz. This is buymeacoffee.com, where if you want to help support Ijaz in what he does, mashallah, you can help financially with that by buying him a coffee or a gatto or whatever you want to buy him.
Just 10 seconds quickly. I've got a medical program I need to complete that may or may not significantly impact my well-being. It's It's a big chance. There is good neuroscience behind it, but it's going to cost a lot. We're hoping, inshallah, soon to get started. A year to get the approval for it. So if you guys can help me, I would appreciate it. The present cost right now is $6,500. It's pretty high, and we're gonna share details as we go along. But I've received permission from the scholars to help with it because it involves anesthetics and intoxicants and tries to change or enhance your brain's neuroplasticity so you interpret pain in different and better ways. So there's a lot of stuff behind it. It's taken more than a year of preparation, approval, studies, hospital visits. So your help is genuinely needed. I want to thank Brother Hamza, who is my beloved, who has given me a platform to mention this. And may Allah bless him and preserve him, and may he guide him to Chelsea football.
Get out of here, you cheeky scamp. Assalamu alaikum, bro. Been a pleasure, man. Always a learning curve with you, dude. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
He just had to end. Yeah, he had to end it with Chelsea, didn't he? He just had to.
He had to. He didn't mention Chelsea the whole night.
Never changed. Yes, never changed.
Mention it right at the end. Ramsey, thanks for coming. I know you do your own flex, and I know you're used to be in control of everything, so it must be weird. I would hate it going on someone else's panel, man, and sitting there waiting. It would annoy me. I'd do it, but it would annoy me. So I appreciate you coming.
I enjoyed it. It was a good experience, man. I love this. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to. If I'm gonna do it anyway. You know what? I go live on Sundays at 6 p.m.
Oh, sorry, what we say?
All right, you know what? No,
I promise. One second. One minute, go. Yeah, I'm there.
Okay. No, I'm gonna regret this. Okay. I go live on Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dawah over dunya. Be sure to be there, inshallah. Our streams can be quite long. The longest we've ever done is 11 hours. This 4-hour stream, this felt like a walk in the park, man. This is nothing.
MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah.
May Allah bless you, akhi. Jazakallah
Always
khairan.
A pleasure, my brother. You take care, mashallah. It's beautiful to watch your growth, honestly, from TikTok into, so mashallah, you're smashing it, man. The youth, you've got the youth in your grit, which is fantastic.
You know something funny, Hamza? I'll just mention this quickly. I actually just the other day went back. I'm not going to say which stream it was, but I went back and found the first time I ever spoke to you. I was 18 years old a long time ago during the historicity streams. Let's just say the way I talk now and the way I talked at the time, and not just my appearance, everything, so much has changed since then. So
how old are you now?
I'm 22 now, alhamdulillah. But no,
okay,
to think, and that, funny enough, Ijaz was on the stream as well, subhanAllah. To see Ijaz and to see Hamza's face there, and then to see both of your faces here, but not this time. I'm actually on your panel, subhanAllah. It just felt.
That's what I'm saying. The growth has been fantastic. Alhamdulillah.
Okay,
all right, my brother. So Dawah over dunya. I mean, YouTube Dawah over dunya, TikTok Dawah over dunya, and Instagram Dawah -over-dunya, or should I say lower score?
Underscore.
Underscore.
Just Dawah over dunya everywhere. Alhamdulillah, guys. We're taking over the world. Allahu Akbar.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum. MashaAllah. And that was MashaAllah, another arena. Interesting. I think there was some good conversations. I think there was some good education there, not necessarily for the guest. I think the guests, as per usual, terrible argumentation. I mean, it's really terrible argumentation, but at least we deal with the arguments rather than the people. So the people are the people. They can present their argument. I just want an opportunity to crush the arguments, teach you how to crush the arguments. So those arguments will just die. And this is the thing. So some people think I might, when did you buy a helicopter? So some people might think I'm harsh. I'm not. I'm just getting to the nuts and bolts. Yeah. And I don't want people waffling. And I think what people need to learn when you're trying to present an argument or make a claim or make a point, make your point, make your claim, and then justify your claim. Don't justify it first before giving me an answer. So I ask you a question, and rather than answering a question, you tell me why you're answering the question you haven't answered the way you've answered. Before you answer the question, you try to justify the answer you've not yet given me. I'm like, what? Yeah, this is my gaming mic. This is my Corsair gaming mic. Some people said the mic's not as good as the Shure mic, so I'm not sure. How is the sound? Be honest. Is there any more arena before Ramadan? There'll be one more arena, I believe. Looking at the dates, it's 24th now. Oh, wait there. Ooh, whoa. Hold the phone. That's tight, isn't it? Oh, what I may do, just because it's Ramadan, is do an arena a different day. Maybe the last one just before Ramadan, maybe, inshallah. But then saying that, we're going to be going live throughout Ramadan every day. I've got a potential new project we're going to have to raise funds for every day of Ramadan. It's to do with my masjid, inshallah. So we're going to be supporting Imam Foundation again this year. Alhamdulillah, such a worthy cause. So 23rd, 1st. No, we should be okay. The 8th. When's Ramadan this year? The first Taraweeh, probably be on the 9th, I think, isn't it? Hamza is nice today. I try. I just, I felt bad on Pop, to be honest, because he's a 16-year-old kid, man. Seriously, a 16-year-old. Yeah, Ramadan's in 15 days. Yeah, I think it's the 10th, the first night of Taraweeh. No, the 9th will be the first night of Taraweeh, if the fast. Oh, 10th of March, the Taraweeh. That's fine then. Yeah, we'll get another arena. All right, yeah, we'll get one more arena in then, inshallah. Thanks a lot, Shazan, for your kind words. All I've got left to do now is thank my mods, mashallah. Iram, Bushra, Amberine, Layla's here, Iman popped in. I didn't see much of MA, but I know he was about. Have I missed any mod? Or did I miss all them? Is that all the mods? Did I miss anyone? I don't think I missed anyone anyway. You do a fantastic job. I know this particular stream is the most arduous because, mashallah, we usually average about 12 to 1,300 people. So it's a lot of people to govern. So, yeah, no, Amberine, I said you. Yeah, Amberine, Bushra, Layla, Iram, Iman, and MA, mashallah. Thank you for the fantastic job you do, because like I say, this is a stream where we can get trolled. We can get a lot of, but I think mashallah, we've detoxified the chat. So I think if you go to any other stream, especially Christian streams, you see the chat is just atrocious. At least here we feel that, even if you're not a Muslim, you can still feel welcome here. Lacey's asking me, "Assalamu alaikum, Brother Hamza, how could you respond to claims that the Vatican created Islam?" Okay, the only thing I would respond to with regards to the Vatican creating Islam is the fact that a lot of Catholicism you kind of find in Shia Islam. The flagellation and the saint worship and this kind of stuff. And even, in I think in Portugal, there's a shrine of Fatima, Catholic holy site. So I think personally there could be links between Catholicism and Shia Islam with regards the doctrinal side of things of Shia Islam. There's quite a few similarity, but as inventing Islam, no, absolute garbage. Go to a Kick stream chat, you will see the meaning of trolling. Oh, no, there are some really toxic YouTube trolls. Oh, Bushra Ali's asking me something. Oh, what's Bushra asking me? The supposed Palestinian ex-Muslim didn't show up. Oh, that guy. The Egyptian. Is that the question you was asking me? Am I going to make the arena private? No, because it got really confusing. Because what happened, we didn't do an arena 2 weeks ago. So what happened, people thought, oh my God, I missed the arena. Oh, I'm not a member. Oh, I'm not going to see it. Oh, woe is me. Okay. And it caused a lot of confusion. So I've decided I'm just going to let it stay up. anyone wants to watch it, they can watch it. We'll still arena slice it. Those who want to watch the full, it's only 3 hours and 40 minutes this time. So those who want to watch the full flex with all the chat and everything, mashallah, it's there for them. And if you just want to watch the segmented guest slots, you can do that. Yeah, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I tried to explain it. This is not me selling the arena. It's not the pay-per-view or anything like that. But I just thought, I can't be bothered to keep explaining it. Yeah, we're going to clip it here and there, but we're also going to keep the whole thing up as well, because you guys in the chat as well make it what it is. So people want to watch the stream and watch the chat, and the chat marries up with the stream. Once you slice and dice it, you lose the live chat. So that's that. Right, I'm gone. Inshallah. I probably see you guys next on Sunday for Sunday Chill. And then we will probably... I might have a sneaky little 2 hours of Banishers, potentially. And then we got Risk warm-up in it. Risk playoffs, maybe. I don't know yet. Let's see. Things are about to get dicey. That's all over, dude. All right. I'm done for another night. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Again, once more, thanks for all my mods for doing the great work you do. Thanks for sharing all the links. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Here comes the lion.